Hey, good day, guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode. What we're going to be doing today is building a WordPress website from scratch. And it doesn't matter if you want it for just a normal website for yourself, a business website, or a blogging website. I'm going to show you how to make a 2020 WordPress website that is quite easy to understand. So for today's theme, we just picked a gaming mixed with Twitch kind of theme for all those streamers out there that want to maybe brand their their website a little bit more professional than what maybe some of their counterparts do. So we're going to get into this. So we're going to build this exact website that you see before you. So let's do a little quick overview of some of the things that we're running through today. So if we go through, for instance, this website that we've built here, we can see it's generated for gaming, and we can see it's also generated for streaming. So all we've got here is just a little test file, so we can make that bigger. Boom, we can play some gameplay footage if we want to, or we don't really need to do that. It just looks quite professional at the end of the day. And we can see we've added in some services that maybe you might provide if you're a business or whatnot. And obviously some pictures of just gaming characters here, but these pictures can be anything. It doesn't have to be a gaming thing. We've just picked that for today to show you guys what to do. And then we have about us contact pages. Now, this looks quite good, I feel, to probably 90% of the websites out there. And if we go to the YouTube section, I'm going to show you how to add in YouTube videos that play. And then maybe you want to do a counter as well. Maybe you've got 150 million views on YouTube or 15 years experience if you completed quite a few different things. We'll do all that. And then maybe you're a streamer on Twitch, or even if you're not, we're going to show you how to do that. We're also going to show you how to do this maybe interactive overlay here, so you have some film footage that's going on in the background here without taking up our thing. It looks quite professional, I believe. Again, we've just done just a couple of little things here, so everything within hopefully the next hour or so become a lot more apparent when we go through these sorts of things. And we've just got a project page as well of what we want to show you guys. So if you have projects that you're doing, maybe your business, and you're developing maybe houses, you can put in house pictures with links all to them, and you can put just a little doodad of information underneath them, and then people can click on them to make it look a little bit more, find out more information. And then our contacts page as well, once we get to this section, we'll show you how to do that and how to do this form, and also how to set in our address. So if you had like a business, a physical store, you can put that in there. Or if you had a place that you wanted to, maybe your gardening shop, and you wanted to showcase a gardening expo, you can put in this interactive map so people can find you. And I believe it shouldn't take us more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It's very, very simple, so hopefully you stick with us. Okay, so in order to actually have a website, we need to actually have web hosting. So if you're new to the online area, if you're just creating a business for the first time or a website for the first time, you're going to need a web hoster, such as HostGator. These are the people that I've been using since 2014. I've never run into any issues with them through web hosting. It's so simple to set up. It's so easy to sign up, and these are the people that I would choose. You can pick anyone though. You can pick GoDaddy if you want to, or any of the other service providers out there. I'm just picking the simplest one that I know that works well and that I've actually used for quite a few years. Now, when you're actually going to pick a plan, you need to decide which one is for you. So some people will go with the Hatchling plan, which you see over in the left hand here, and that's for a single domain website. So for me, I go with the baby plan. It's slightly a little bit more expensive per month, but what it does give you is the ability to have more domain names. So I can have unlimited domains. So say if I have 10 different websites for 10 different things, I'm only paying for hosting for one of the plans, and I can use that hosting on all of these different domain names. It doesn't matter. I can have as many websites as I want to build, and that's the one I choose because it's the middle one and it's quite cheap, really. And it also gives you unlimited metered bandwidth, which is really important. So you might have a lot of pictures or interactive content on your website that's going to be eating through data, so you're not going to be charged for that. And also, it gives you a free SSL certificate, which is really, really important. If you could see up the top here, without going too much into SSL now, we'll explain that a little bit later. Every website comes with a little lock pad here. That's your SSL certificate, and people will know it's safe to go to if you have an SSL certificate, and you need this. Other companies or other hosting things, they may just give you a website. They won't give you an SSL certificate that you need, or they'll charge you an additional fee for it. And sometimes the fee to charge you for an SSL certificate can be more than the web hosting itself. So you're actually getting it for free. So once you've made up your mind on which plan that you want to go to, just click buy now. Obviously this will go into here, and I've already got mine. You can pick your registration. So if you don't have a domain name, that's what you'll pick up the top here. So maybe you'll go Mike's Hut or something like that. You'll type that in there, or something obviously a lot better, and it'll check the domain of what you want to do. Or if you already own a domain from GoDaddy or something like that, then you can just pull it over to here, and so it knows where you're installing this WordPress website too. So your hosting plan, obviously you can pick this for 12 months or 36 months. It's up to you. HostGator has always got a sale going, and you see me laughing there, or hear me laughing there. HostGator's always got a sale on. So almost all these companies do. So always wait until there's a sale on, because most of the time they're going, fill in your details and your contact details once you've picked all that out. And usually I think most people would pay by using with PayPal today. That's the one that I would choose, because they're simply just the best. Now this is where it gets a little additional services. If you wanted to secure your website, you can add all these services, but for me, really, I don't think that these services are really required. You might want to, but I've never bothered to do it. They just seem to be added in extras. If you want them there, great. If you don't, just deselect them, and your price of what you're going to be paying a month or a year is going to go down dramatically. And it's quite simple to do. I'm not going to show you guys too much how to do this. I'm pretty sure that most of you can pretty much set this up yourself. And it is probably the hardest thing you do. Once you've actually gone through this, it'll take you to another page, and it'll give you all your login details. Make sure that you copy all of those login details, write them down. They'll send you an email as well. Make sure you print off a copy and take a copy as well, put it in a file so that you know where it is. Also, if you're registering for a new domain, which is your www, whatever it is, so if we went to our website, it would be grimfirefly.com. What you need to do is, in a couple of days time, usually about 2 days after you've registered your new domain name, you'll get an email verification from HostGator to say that that they've signed you up to, they've registered your domain name pretty much. Please take ownership of it, and you've got 14 days. So you click that little link, and you'll actually have ownership of that domain name now. That's yours now, not HostGator's. So just make sure you do that. And before we move on to the next section, I thought it might be wise to mention it right now. If you want to register a domain and it's just, for instance, GrimFirefly, you might not want .com. So if you just go to this section here and just use the drop-down menu, you can select what you want. So if you want .co or .me or .org, but most people will want a .com website. It's a standard bearer in the industry, but it's up to you. It's your website. You can name it and have it entering in whatever you want to do. But for most people, .com will do. It was just worth mentioning. Okay, so we've just set up registered our domain. We've signed up for the first time for our hosting package, and we're here at our kind of control panel here. Let's have a look at some of the implications of what's going to be happening. If you just signed up, as you can see in the exemplar website that we showed you before, obviously that's all live. We can see that it's renewed, its expiry date, all those sort of things, and it's grimfirefly.com. Our new domain name that we just registered, grimfirefly.gg, is still in its provisional stages. So what that means is that HostGator's doing an automated process and gathering all the data, registering all the domain names that we need to. And that can take from anywhere from 2 hours to 72 hours in some cases. If it goes beyond 72 hours, I would contact them. So if we go to our grimfirefly.gg, because we didn't have anything else to name it, we can see that the website's just not simply built yet. And it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 72 hours. Usually most good hosting companies will have it in 2 hours, and we'll see it up here. So you can see, and it's worth showing you now, while we're at this dashboard stage, we've got 2 domains. So because we're on the baby plan, we can have as many domain names as we want. We can have as many websites as we want, all under one hosting package. But if we went back to here and you went, well, I'm a little bit strapped for cash right now. Maybe I just go with the hatchling plan. I just want to dip my feet in the waters of online experience or development, and I just want to be creative and just have the one website. That's fine. And you've picked the hosting plan. If you want to upgrade to more domain names, which is different websites and all that kind of cool stuff, you just go and select the baby plan and update it through our portal here for hosting and just say, hey, guess what? We want to now have the baby plan. And they'll do that all automated for you, just have an additional fee. Okay, it's been about half an hour and our grimfirefigg.com domain name has now become ours. It's been registered, it's out now, mine to use. Now, what you want to do is in the email that HostGator would have given you, they would have given you these portal at HostGator login details. Log in and get to this character screen here that you want to see to us. This is where we need to be. We want to install WordPress. And it's very, very simple. If you got to this stage now and you haven't had any major problems, pat yourself on the back. You've already done 90% of the hard work. It's so easy from this point on. It's ridiculous. So what we want to do is look into our left-hand side here menu. We want to go to Marketplace because that's where our WordPress is. So now we get to our Marketplace. All these things are just add-ons that you can look at another time. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to cover any of this stuff because it's just not needed. And most of the things you won't see it. So what we want to do is scroll down to related services and one-click installs, which is the blue square rectangle bubble here that you see here. And it's got WordPress little symbol on the side here. We just want to click on that. And we want to install our WordPress. So we click on that. And this is going to take us to our control panel for our HostGator. So it looks very, very good. We can install anything that we want to here. But honestly, for this tutorial, we're just going to install WordPress. You can have a play around with these things at another later stage in time. Once we go from there, it wants us to select a domain that we want to install WordPress on. So for me, I've got multiple domains. You'll probably only have the one domain. So just click on which one you want to install there. And we just created the grimfirefigg.com. So we want to install it there. Now on the right-hand side here, you see this directory. Please don't touch that. Don't touch. If you put in any sort of word or symbols in there, it'll go and install it into grimfirefigg.com, whatever. You just leave it alone. Don't touch it. It's better off not touching it. Okay. This is the big thing that I guess HostGator want to show you, that you can buy a professional for $399 US to install this for you. Why? I have no idea. I know a lot of professionals who are into WordPress who create these WordPress websites all the time, and they'll charge like wounded bulls if they can, anywhere from a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 depending on who they're dealing with. We're doing this whole tutorial for free, so we're just gonna bypass that. So we just need to go next. Now we need to put it in our blog title. So for me, I just put in this admin and username. That's up to you. You might have a handle online that you want to do. Use that. I just put in my first name and then I'll just put in none. And then we'll just click on these terms and conditions right here and then just copy and paste an email in there. For this tutorial, I've just done one on the fly just for the sake of this tutorial. So we're going to install now and let it do all of its stuff itself. Once it gets to this section, you're going to want to start to change things around. I certainly would. I've covered up my installation details. Make sure you copy all your login details. This is the thing that you're going to log into when you actually log into your website. So you've done all the hard yards now. Now it's just installing WordPress. It can take up to about an hour or a couple of hours, depending on how slow it is during the day or night when you actually do this. So don't just be disappointed if you log in there and there's nothing there. Okay, so we've done this bit. We've installed WordPress onto our website, it may take a little bit of time to actually install, maybe up to an hour, but now we have to do some other things. So installation details, once you've copied and pasted them into a file, and obviously mine are covered up here, but for yours, you just copy and paste it. Make sure you keep a file on it, print it out if you need to. But underneath here, we want to view my installs. It's a little grayed out button, so we just open that up and it's going to take us to our control panel, okay? Once we get to here, we want to have a look and we can see that, okay, we've got WordPress 5.03 installed onto our grimfirefigg.com thing. And as you can see, the grimfirefigg.com has the latest version. So we'll upgrade that in a later stage. But before we leave this control panel and actually go to our website, we want to go back to, just click on HostGator control panel, which at the top here, and we wanted to go and check some things because you'll probably only have one installation of this. Let's do a preemptive strike before we start editing some of the things on our website. So we have to update some things here. So the main thing that we need right now is to look for a little file or a little program called MultiPHP Manager. It's already down here. It's a little bit of software and it's down right at the bottom here, and we can see it just here. It's on thing. So just put in MultiPHP if it doesn't come up. So we just put in PHP and it'll come up. Obviously it's come up with a whole bunch of other stuff, but this is the thing that we want to do, okay? So we'll click on that MultiPHP Manager and we want to have a look at, we'll just click our selection here and let's go to this, okay? So since I have two domains, I want to have a look at what's installed. So if we go to our new grimfirefigg.com, we can see that it's got its PHP version set at 70. And if we go in, if we unselect that one and we select this one at the top here, we can see that the same version's right up here. But what I want to do, since we're doing a new domain, is make sure that this one is up to the latest state. Now you can always go and have a look at system PHP and see what the latest version is. And why this is so important, this MultiPHP Manager, is that a lot of the add-ons, the free add-ons that we're going to be using later in the thing, they need you to have WordPress installed of at least 5.5 and MultiPHP installation of 7+ to actually use a lot of these new elements that we're going to be using later on for our website. If you don't have this installed, you'll have to come back to this area, update it again, and it's just painful. Why not do it before we even log into our own website? It's very easy to do, and all we do is just click apply, let that go in there, and then you can see successfully installed PHP 74. This will make your website a lot quicker when it loads as well, and this is great for security as well, because you should be going to the latest builds of these to make sure that they're the latest builds. And as you can see down here, if you're ever in doubt of what PHP version, if you've got multiple websites, you can see that my grimfirefigg.com has the PHP version EAPHP 74, and so does grimfirefigg. It has the exact same thing. And again, this is actually used for all of our add-ons later on. If you do not have the latest ones installed, you're going to find out that some of the creators have actually turned off the old customization. You won't be able to do it anymore until you actually upload it here. And that's one of the big things. So what we'll be using is Elementor Page Builder in a couple of minutes in our WordPress blog. And if you don't have WordPress 5+, 5.6 or greater for our PHP version and MySQL version 5+ or greater, it just won't work. And it's just as easy to update them right now. And since we shouldn't have any problems with MySQL, we shouldn't have to update it here, it should already be done. So we won't do it anymore. And in the next section, we'll actually start logging into our WordPress website and actually changing the password and changing some of the profiles that we need to do. And then we can start to create. Finally. Okay, so it's been a little while and you've given it maybe half an hour to an hour, up to 24 hours. We can see that HostGator has finally put our website together. So it's just got a coming soon website. So what we want to do now is grab our login details that they sent to you for your email and that we got last time. And we want to log in and go to our, grimfirefigg.com WP admin. So this is your WordPress admin. This is where you're going to be doing all your work. Your installation file will be whatever your website is. So it'll be www.frog.com/WP admin, whatever that is put all your details in there and log into your website. Obviously, I've already done mine, so mine are already here. And just remember, when you actually are editing through this will take a little bit longer to load because we're editing. It's not because your internet's slow, it's not because of anything else. It's just because it is slow because you're logging in and you're editing things on the fly. So once you're here, this is your WordPress dashboard. You'll be spending a lot of time here. And if we actually have a look now, if we actually click and visit our website and open that into a new tab, which we will, we'll see that this is what they give you to start off with. There's not much here, but but it's a website nevertheless. It's what most people would say, hey, I did this, and we're going to show you how to fix this up a little bit more. So if we go down here, since people are going to actually want to, if you want to change your password first, let's go and do that first. So if we go down to our usernames and we go down to our profile, which is on the left hand side panel here, we click on that, we wait for it to load, and then we scroll all the way down, and you'll just go down here to generate new password. Put that new password in there, make sure you write that down, and then update your profile, and then you'll have a new password. I've already changed all of our ones around, so there's no need for us to do it, so we can just simply go back to the dashboard. Okay, so now that we're back at the dashboard, we can see that it's quite messy. We have all these plugins. As you can see, one here on the side panels already wants to be updated, and we can see that it wants us to pretty much install these new plugins. It kind of looks a little bit messy, so I'm going to delete all these plugins now. I'm going to show you how to do all this so that it just looks cleaner. Now, a plugin's just kind of like an application on your computer or your phone. It's not really necessary unless you're using them. So if you just left click on this side panel here and go to our plugins, we can see that we have a whole bunch of stuff here that we don't need. So we want to put everyone that's doing this tutorial on the same level. You don't need to delete these, but they're just a waste of space. We won't be using any of them. So the best thing to do is just to do this. So before we can delete them, we need to deactivate them. So we click all the top here, deactivate, then click all the plugins so each one is highlighted, and then we just hit apply. Now we wait for that to deactivate everything first, which takes a couple of seconds. Now we can see that they're all deactivated. Now if we go delete, and then we delete all the plugins, we can hit apply because we're never going to be using any of these add-ons or plugins. We just don't need these applications. Most of them are there because they make a little bit of money for whoever's paying to have them put on there, but we don't need them. So we can just simply delete them, get rid of the whole things, wait for this all to be done. It does take a little bit of time, as you can see here, but it will delete every plugin, and then we're all back on the same page as we add in new things. And look at that. Isn't that nicely done? Now when we go back to our dashboard, hopefully most of these things have been disappeared here. Look at this, a fresh installation. We don't have all this mess sitting on the top here. We just have a fantastically nice looking, easy to use application, and we don't have any mess, and it's not going to pop up everywhere now. Okay, so when you log into your website, every once in a while there's going to be updates. So when we come back into our dashboard, maybe you haven't logged in for a week because you're not checking your website all the time. Where it usually comes in here and it says welcome to WordPress, there might be a little pop-ups here that's saying there's updates, and you just click on them and update them as required. Also on the home, on the dashboard here on the side left hand panels, you can see updates. When there's an update for this or a plugin, you'll see that the little orange red symbol will pop up just next to where this update is, just on the side panel here. Very much like how when we logged in before, if you scroll back in the video, the plugins had a little orange little one there or a little box there, and we can simply click on there. And that'll take us to the updates thing. And you can check for new updates. Last night, this actually updated itself while I was in bed asleep, and it did it all for us automatically. And that's great. But updates are really critical. Every once in a while, things are going to be updated in WordPress and on these plugins that need to be critically updated all the time because they might have found a vulnerability in there, and it keeps your website safe. And the last thing you want to do is not update for a week, a month, a year, because then you are going to be vulnerable, and so are the people that visit your website. Someone could install malicious content in there, take anything from your website, especially if you have a business. So you must keep these updates up to date all the time. Very simple to do. We just don't have anything to show you to update because we don't have anything installed yet. But that's the easiest way to do it. But just always remember, keep it updated. So I suggest you log into your website once every 3 or 4 days to check it or to set it up automatically. Okay, this is something I wanted to show you earlier on in the tutorial, and I'm recording it a bit later because nothing actually came up with updates before. So when we're updating a section or when we come in here and a plugin needs an update, we can see that the update, and there's been a little 1 there. If there's multiple, it would come up with multiple numbers depending on how many updates there are. And we can see down in the plugin section that we have it's highlighting 1. So let's just hover over this. Let's go to updates and just click on there, and we can see that we need some sort of action here. So what's it actually want us to do? Okay, it's telling me if we scroll down a little bit that this plugin needs to be updated. So we can simply select that plugin and update plugins. You can select all of them at once if you had multiple, or you can select ones individually if you don't want other ones updated for whatever reason. So let's just push update and it will update this section. It may take a little while, but it'll get up there. So boom. So it does that now. So we've got that, boom, and that's being updated. This week dingo Elementor has been successfully updated. And that's all you got to do. Just got to wait for it to pretty much do. Sometimes it'll come up with a little load bar that's coming up here if it's a huge update, but I've never really seen it take more than 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, now that that's all done, we want to go back to our website. So if we hover over our name again, right click to open up a new window, visit our website, we can see that it still looks very, very plain. Let's go and fix this up now. So if we can just X out of those two, what we didn't do is go down to appearances and go to themes. Now we want to add in a theme called Astra. So what we need to do once we're here at themes is go to add new, and then we'll just wait for this to load up and we'll just type in Astra. Now when you get to this thing, make sure you click on the right one because two are named similar. So we just want Astra. View the details. Now this has been reviewed 4,621 times and you can see it's a 5-star rating. So we want to install this. So once we install this, we'll just wait for it to install. So just click on that installation thing and activate. Now, it might not look like much start up the thing, but this is what we need. Now, if we go back to our dashboard, go up to our name again, visit website, we'll open up a new tab. We can see once it loads in here, it's made things look a lot neater. Like it doesn't look like much, but that's a huge improvement on what we just had. And it's an important step to have. Make sure you download Astra. That's the first one. And it looks, I'm already telling you this right now, that's 10 times better than what we just had. Okay, now that we've added this in, we need to start building our website. Now, if you want to, you can just start building from this point in time. Blank canvas, go nuts, go wild. But for me, I like to make things a lot easier. So we're going to go and download a plugin called Starter Templates. And that's going to modify this whole web page and add in all these links and all this very, very nice and cool imagery. And we're going to start somewhere. For me, it's just better, let's start somewhere instead of just having a blank canvas. But if you want to, there's nothing wrong with this. But I'm going to show you just how easy it is to already have a professional design that you just edit in place. And you're going to be ahead of everyone most of the time. So if we just go back over here, have a bash name, back to dashboard, we'll go into plugins, add new plugin. So once we get to here, we need to search for it. So you have all these things there and it's great. Now we want to put in starter templates and we just wait for that to load. And once we get to this point here, this is what we want to, this is the one we're looking for. As you can see, it's got 600,000 active installs and it's really the one that we want to click on here. And it's probably the best. Okay, so if we install that now, all we need to do is just grab this one, install now, installing, activate again. So once it's activated, it'll become a lot more clearer. Now it's taken us to this screen here, okay? So these are all page builders. Now they're all quite good, but for us, let's just go here and say that Elementor, for the sake of argument, is probably the best one at the moment. It's the nicest one. They're all good, but Elementor just stands a little bit ahead of each and every one of them. So we're just going to go with Elementor. Now it's already taken us to appearances, okay? So this has been a little bit more activated over time. These always switch around, but we can see there's already templates here, and if we want to, we can look at business and all these things. And as you can see, some of these are not free. Okay, so we've got all of these ones. I just scroll down quickly. Let's just scroll down so you guys can get a thing. This is what your website's going to look like once you click on one of these themes, and we can just simply click on any of them or most of them, as long as we don't want to pay for them. So if you want a personal training one, wow, great. Look, it's already done for you. Okay, if you want a steak bar and grill, it's already done for you. Okay, but we just want to add on our own one. So for me, let's go to free and let's look for Sihara, which will be probably right down the bottom here. The elephant one, Sihara Nature. This is the one I personally used in our first promo at the start of the thing. It's one of the more nicer ones, I think, and it's free. So if we click on this and we just have a look at it, we can actually look at and have a little thing. So that's what our home page is going to look like. So if we click on that and make it a little bit thinner, or if we want to just look at this, we can see and scroll down and, oh, okay, we get a bit of an idea of what our thing is going to look like when we're all said and done. And it's a very, very nice starter template. So you might have projects that you want to do, and we've already gone a little bit through there, but we want to import this template, the complete site. So you can import just one page, but we want to import the whole site. So let's do that now. It takes a little while to do this. And thing, we haven't actually had a website thing, so we just want to import everything. Boom, it's going to import all those things for us. And again, it just takes a little bit of time. So it's importing everything into it. So we're already 50 steps ahead of where everyone else is. So again, you can start off with that blank canvas, but I want to do it this way because it just makes things so much simpler. I'm not into creating time, but you might be very creative. You might have a lot of skills that you already have, but most of us don't have those skills. So we're just going to import the content and wait for it to be uploaded. Great, good, successful. Go ahead, customize all the things. So, and it's also warning you here that they're trying to make it the best that they have. They're giving you a little heads up. Look, they've said that we've imported it all, but there may be some legal ramifications because the pictures we've used are maybe royalty free, maybe not. So just remember to change all the pictures around. I don't think most people are going to have any problems. So let's go and visit our website now. So once we get to rimfirefire.gg, we can see everything is nature. Okay, we can look, we can scroll down, we can learn more, and it doesn't really go anywhere, but it's a button. Okay, so we've got this very lovely background, and it looks really, really good. And we can just scroll down here. Everything's done for you. Now let's just scroll through some of these things here. Even though we did it at the start of the thing for our gaming content, we can just make this all look really, really good. So as we can see here, there's counters all in place. Everything's done. All we need to do is edit it. And it does take a little bit of time, and there's a couple of weird things that you have to do and do all this different kind of stuff. But I'm going to walk you through everything so that we don't have complications. Now, we don't need to go too much into this, but what I like to do is have another web browser open. So while we're editing in Google, I like to have maybe internet, I don't think it's Edge now, I think it's called, or Mozilla Firefox, whatever you want to do, just so we can see. So this is, let's just go back to the home page here. And we'll click on this. So this is what we've got now, this really beautiful website. This is what we used to have before. So once we update this page, we're going to have this, again, this really nice website. So that's what we started off with, and this is what you'll eventually get. But for me, I love to have two web browsers open, two different web browsers. So I'm logged into one, and then I can see what's editing in real time over in the side here. And what's that for? If you look just underneath here, you can see that just underneath our address bar, there's no little gray bar here. If we go back into here where we're editing, there's a little bar here that gets us to and from it. It's our navigation bar. So when we go back to our dashboard, things look a little bit different. But it also can warp what you're trying to do. So I always have it open up here. So if we just refresh this now, come back here, and this is especially useful if you're editing images and stuff. I want to make sure that everything looks good without that little bar there. And that's why I have it in two things. Okay, so now that we've installed this beautiful looking theme, let's go and make sure that we actually know where it is in our dashboard. So once we do this, we just open up a new tab again, go back to our dashboard. For us, we'll go back down here to appearances, and then we'll go to starter templates. Okay, so once we get to starter templates, if for some reason we don't want that one, we can remove it. And one of the things I don't know if I showed you when we did the thing here before, because all of these ones are different. So you go business if you want to, maybe a blog. When you just click on these things, it'll shorten all of the different search options. Now, if we wanted to go to all and we just wanted to have free, then we can make sure that we scroll down, and there's significantly a lot less once we go to free. So I just wanted to make sure that that was simplified and how you actually navigate to this if for some reason you get lost, because I can understand in some of the videos think it automatically pops up and it does it all of itself, and that's great. But what happens if we need to get back down here? So if we go back to your dashboard again, just to show you one more time, we go down to appearances, we go down to starter templates, and that's how we will get and navigate to this add-on here. And really, it's as simple as one, and it just looks good. I'm just laughing at this dog in the middle here. It looks weird. It's okay. Okay, now that we've gone through the design, the appearance, the starter templates, and we've selected Sierra Nature, we might as well talk about an SSL certificate right now. So for a lot of you, probably this is the first time you've ever heard of it. What is an SSL certificate? It's a security-based certificate that each website needs and should have. So the easiest way to explain this is to go to an exemplar, okay? So if we go over to our older website that we had here, we can go up to the top here to the menu bar, and we can see just next to our wwws or HTTPS that it's secure. We have this little padlock. This little padlock is worth its weight in gold. If you don't have this and you have a business, people coming to your website are not going to put in their credit card details or their PayPal details or their home addresses, whatever, because anyone could get into this website and potentially hack it. Your data is not secured. It's very, very important. Any big website, Amazon has this, everyone has this. Luckily for us with HostGator, we get a free SSL certificate. We just need to activate it. Now, on other hosting, if you've gone with another hoster, maybe a different company, they might not have one, but any hosting service should give it to you free. But if they don't, you'll have to pay for one. Now, let's see why this is so important. Now, if we go to our new website, we can see at the top here with our address bar, it's not secure. And it's coming up with a big red flag. It's warning us that there's something wrong with it. So all we need to do now is go and add this on and fix this up so that we feel secure if I was coming onto this website. Now, another big thing that I might as well mention here, some of your add-ons without an SSL certificate will not work. So if we scroll down to here to our exemplar website and we have a look at our Twitch embed here from Twitch, if you were to copy this code that they give you on Twitch to put this little video thing in, it will not work unless you have an SSL certificate. They just won't allow it. They just won't allow you to think of it because they don't think your website's safe. And you may come across this when you try to link things into your website if you don't have an SSL certificate, because it just won't work. So how would we go about securing our website? So if we're back on our dashboard now and we want to do these things, we go into plugins and we add new. So we just go into our plugins folder and we'll simply search for a free one. So let's go down here and we'll put into the field here, really simple SSL. Oop, let's type it here. And then once it comes up, hopefully it does, There we go. Really simple SSL. Make sure you type it first the right way first. We can see that it has 4 million plus active users. It's a 5 out of 5-star rating. So 5,488 people that have said it's great. We just want to install that now. Let's install that. And the only reason I'm doing this now in the installation, because this is probably the last one that we need to really install for add-ons for this website, we might as well do it now and explain it before we get into all our design and editing and all that thing. So all we need to do now is click on activate again. So once this is activated, we'll go down here and we can see that it's with our plugins. Okay, now that it's downloaded and it's installed, we need to go and have a look at some things. So if we go down to settings here and we go with SSL right down here, we just open up in a new tab. I like to open things up in new tabs. You might just want to click on it. We can see that we've gone down to SSL. Now we already have an SSL certificate and it's here and it's being detected. We got ours free from HostGator. If you don't have one, if this says no right here next to this little green thing, contact your hosting company. Ask them for a free one, or you're going to have to pay for one. So all we need to do now is go and activate our SSL certificate. So all we need to do is just go ahead and activate. We don't need to buy Pro, we just need to go ahead and activate. So all you need to do is just click this little button here, and it's easy to do this here. And now we can see that our SSL certificate is enabled on our website. It's mixed content, so it's picked up a couple of things here, and now it should be a little bit better. Okay. Okay, now that that's been done, we can go back to our website and see what actually has happened. So if we just go hover under our username here and go to our website, we can open up our website, and then we can see that it's still not secured. But it is, but it hasn't. So when we come here, we can still see it's not secured, but actually when we go across to the address bar, we can see it's changed from HTTP to HTTPS. Now that makes it secure. Okay, so the S stands for security. So what we're going to do now is going to fix up those things, but at the same time, we might as well look at another problem here. So when we're on our home page, our address looks quite nice and normal, but when we go to our About Me section, we can see that the address just doesn't look right. It's got grimfirefigegg.com/index.php about, when it should just say about. We don't know why it has this index PHP, but we need to go and fix these hyperlinks up straight away. And then when we go to services as well, we can see the same thing, this index PHP, and it's very, very easy to fix. So we'll do that at the same time. And I suggest that you do these steps before you go into the next SSL bit, because once this is fixed, it should hopefully work a lot better. So if we go back and we hover over our username, we go back to our dashboard. We'll now go back over to our settings, and we're going to go right down here on our left sidebar here, back down to settings, and we're going to look for permalinks, and they're right here. So if you're ever in doubt, you can just go boom, but we really want to get this here. Let's go to permalinks right here. Now permalinks, and this is why it's coming up. Instead of just going post name, which is what we want it to do. So if you had an About Me page, it would just go to your website About Me, or store, or whatever you've named your page. Unfortunately for us, we've got a custom structure, and it's going to index PHP year, month, whatever. As you can see just here, over to the right here, it goes on for ages, and that can be added into your website domain name. So why is this important? Because when you're indexing on Google and people are trying to search for you, they're probably not going to click on a link that goes for 6 million pages long. Okay, if someone wants to reference one of your pages in, say, a blog or a Instagram thing or a Twitter thing, they're not going to have the room to actually do all this thing. So you're going to have to come here, and then we post out and we'll fix it up. So what we really want to do is just shorten this name down. So if we just go to post name, just click on that on the left hand side here, and then just save changes. So that should update quite nicely. Once that's updated, we can go back and visit our website once more and make sure that it's all done. So if we go to the About Me section now, it should just be going About Me, as it is, grimfirefigegg.com about. That's what we wanted to see. And services, we'll just click on that to make sure it did work. It makes things look so much more professional, and it's so much easier for a search engine to put you through their system, also someone to link to your account. Make sure you do this at the same time. Okay, now that we've fixed up our permalinks issues, we need to go back and fix this pesky issue that we're having with our still not secured. Now, it is secured by our HTTPS since we put our SSL certificate, but since we're editing our pages all the time, we need to go and update from HTTP to HTTPS, and that's very, very simple. So we just go back to our dashboard, we'll go back down here, we will go down to Elementor on the sidebar here, and we'll go back down to Tools. Now from here, we want to regenerate files, so we'll regenerate everything. So we'll click on that first off, straight off the bat, and then we'll go up into here. Now this is a replacing URL. This is the most important step. So what you want to do is go back up to the top of your web page here, and we can just grab this .com, your website name, whatever it is, and we can see this is where it wants us to put into the new URL. So we can put in our, since we've changed our URL from HTTP to HTTPS, we can see that right here. Now when we go to the old one here, we need to do this as well. So we need to put in our old one here, and we'll just exit out of this, and then boom, we'll take that little S out of there because we didn't have that last time. Okay, so now we just push replace URL, and it should pop up with a whole bunch of rows that need to be affected. Unfortunately for me, these rows are not popping up. So it should be fixing up a whole bunch of things, and it's saying, no, listen, there's an issue here. So what we can do is push OK. We can go back to the general tab. We can try and regenerate files. Okay. And then we can go and sync our library again and try and see if that works as well. And then we might be able to replace our URL. Again, it hasn't popped up. So what's happening here, it's telling us there's an issue. So if we go under our Grim Firefight and go and visit our website again, we can see that we're still having mixed content errors. Okay, so we're still having this. Our website's not fully secure. But how do we fix this? What do we know about this error? So all we need to do is right click on anywhere on our website and with Google and inspect. Okay, in Google Chrome, we can already see that there's some issues popped up here. It's telling me there's some mixed issues. So if we go across from the top bar here to console, we can see it doesn't like an image. So we're using one of these free images. For whatever reason, this JPEG just hasn't updated even though we've done all of our things. So we're not going to worry too much about it at the moment because we're going to be changing all these things. And even if we go to our About Us section, we can see that the thing's still not secured. And if we do the exact same thing, right click, inspect elements, and go to our console, we've picked up 2 images. Now this may just be an error with these images. It doesn't like these images. We're going to be replacing them anyway. So we're just going to move on for the sake of this tutorial. And we'll come back and we'll check this at the end of the tutorial. If you get to this point and there's just an issue, I just want to bring it up now that there seems to be an issue with Elementor and these images. So wherever they've got these images from or wherever they stored, they might not be on HTTPS, so they're on HTTP. So we'll fix that up hopefully at the end of the tutorial. But please don't worry about it too much now because we're going to be changing all these images anyway, and then hopefully our website goes secure. So now at this point of the tutorial, we might want to learn how to add and subtract pages. So maybe we want to keep our home page, our about page, our services page, and our projects page, but maybe we don't need a contact, so maybe we want to delete it. So how do we go about deleting pages and adding pages to make it better? So if we go back up to our dashboard, it's very simple. Just click on our dashboard, wait for that to load back up. Go to our pages, and just click on that on the left hand side here, and then we see we're here at the pages section. So what we can do here, we can go up the top here and we can, if you see at the top here, pages, we can add a new page. But why don't we try and delete a page? Now we can see all the ones here that Elementor has, so they'll have the little Elementor next to them. So if we go to about page, we can see, oh, okay, there's Elementor. If we go to our context page, again Elementor, and we can see that all these ones, even our home page, is all Elementor. So they are all the ones that we actually have currently active on our home page right now. But if we have a look down here, we can see that there is a sample page. Okay, so let's go and click on that now. We can just click on there, click the view, and it'll load up, and we'll see that it's exactly the first page, the sample page that the actual WordPress gave us. This is what they gave us for free before we started doing all these changes. And we don't need this anymore. So we can simply return back to that page, click over it, go to sample page. Again, we don't need it, trash it, and this will get rid of it. So once it's trashed, if you accidentally make a mistake and maybe you've deleted a couple of these pages by accidental, you can always save it. So it's back here. If you go across the top little bar here, you can see publish, draft, private, and then trash. We can go across to trash, and we can bring that back out of there if we want to. So we can go back up here and restore it, or we need to delete it permanently. And since we're not keeping this page, we might as well delete it permanently. And then that page is gone forever. And all we need to do is empty trash and gone. And once it loads, it'll empty the thing, or you can hit apply. And it's very simple to do. So what do we do now that we don't need any of these pages? Well, if we want to add a page, that's a whole easier step to do, and it's just as well. Okay, now that that's finally trashed and been deleted, and it may take a little bit of time depending on what it's connecting to. So once that's done, we want to add new pages. So if we go up the top here, pages, add new, we want to simply add a new page. For my title, we're just going to add test, but yours might be gardening, it might be pricing, it might be an about me page. You can simply title it whatever you want to do. Once that's done, before we edit with Elementor, we want to come down to transparent header. We want to enable this. And why do we want to enable this? If we go back to our main website over here, our Sierra Nature template, we can see that our navigation bar up the top here is transparent. It has pictures behind it. If we don't have that enabled, it'll go over the top of this navigation bar. So it'll go across the top of our home and about and services and projects and contacts bit. And we don't want that. We want it to look all the exact same. So once that's enabled with this transparent header down the top here, all we have to do is edit with Elementor. And now it will take a little bit of time to load up, especially if it's trying to do new things. But here we go. We finally have it. Now this is just a blank page and it looks quite good. It's got our footer and all the stuff we're about. And now you might be thinking, okay, it looks a bit bland and we can start adding basic elements to it if we really want to. But there's an easier way than even doing that. So what happens if we just want to add a new page and have a template to work off? Well, we can do that by simply clicking on this little starter templates section here, the little purple one here. If we click on that, we can see again all the pages pop up. Okay, great. Now let's look for free, and we already know we're looking for Sierra Nature because that's the one that's already done. So if we click on here, we can look at it about some of these pages and go, okay, maybe this project page looks really good for me. I like the pictures. I can do something with this page. And this would take you hours to build on your own. You're probably saving a lot of time. Maybe we just want to import that template. We can just import the template like this. And as you can see, everything has been added. Okay, all you have to do now is edit the pictures and edit the sections and edit the text. You just saved hours and hours of time. Why start with a blank canvas when you can go and do this? Now what happens if I don't want a section? I can simply delete it. So I can look at this section right up here and it's got these lovely little images here and it's got this little text down here that I'm not quite sure even what that text is or what language that is. But okay, I don't want that section. We just go across onto our little blue bar here and we can delete it. Now what happens if I made a mistake? I can just simply go Control Z on a PC or Command Z on a Mac and it'll come back and we can see it's all back again. So if we've made that little mistake, we can do that. But this has just saved us so many hours and stuff. So what happens if we wanted to actually publish this? Okay, we're quite happy with this. Maybe we don't want this as projects anymore. Maybe we want this as, I don't know, we'll just put in test because I can't actually think of anything to write at the moment. And it looks quite good. I'm happy with it. Everything's been formatted to work in with our website. All the text has been formatted and we can edit all that text by going to style and typography and going into maybe clicking on something like this and then going to style and typography. And we can edit in text color, alignment, and we can add a whole bunch of different things. But for the moment, we're not going to do that. We're just going to simply publish the website. So on this Elementor bar right here, we can simply just go publish, and it's going to publish our content after a couple of seconds. And once this little green bar down here, it's been hooray, your page is live. Great, let's go and view this page. So what I like to do is just click on that. It's going to take us to our view thing. So we can see, excellent. It looks really, really good. Okay, but maybe we want to add even more to it. So we'll do that next. Okay, so this is looking really, really good, but maybe we want to add in some sections from some other templates. So maybe we want to add in a meals plan or a pricing plan or just something a little bit different. We can actually do that by just getting rid of this. We don't need to start over from scratch. So all we need to do is just get rid of that. Go back down here to our starter templates, click back on this. We're looking for free, so it's already saved that selection. Let's see here what we can actually find out. Okay, let's see this training one. Okay, about me, personal training, weights, nutrition. Cool, training rates. Okay, we really want this training rates thing. This will do. And it's got all of our gallery up here. Wow, this is actually really good. Why would you want to create anything else other than this stuff? So we can import this as well into our section right now. So these training rates is the things that we want to focus on here. It looks really, really stylish. I want these, so I'm going to import these as well. And we can just simply wait for that to import. And it may take a little bit of time. Now that that's imported, we can see it's added a whole bunch of stuff here. So it's added all of this stuff that we don't necessarily need at the moment. So we can simply get rid of all this stuff that we don't need. But we actually want this. I actually think that this is a really cool thing. But for us, we just want these training rates right here. So everything else we can simply get rid of. So we don't need this anymore. So if we just hover back over the top of this, we can go back over to our little blue box and we can see what's it's selected and just put the little X here, and that'll get rid of that, and that'll get rid of that. Okay, we don't need this about me section. We no longer want that. So again, just hover over the little blue thing, get rid of that. And again, we don't need the personal training thing. So hover over the blue and push the little X. And again, we don't want this one. So we'll just do the exact same thing and get rid of this. And we do want this one. And now we don't want this little thing here. So again, we'll just get rid of that. Clients, we don't really need any of those. Boom. And this again, and hover over. And we don't need this context either. Thank you. So we've gotten all of this and it looks really, really good. So we've got our training rates, but what happens if we don't want, and now we can edit all this, and obviously you can edit all the pictures and it looks really, really cool because it actually highlights. Look at how cool that looks. This would take you hours and hours and hours to do if you were to do this from scratch. Most of us wouldn't be able to do it. And as you can see, once you scroll over those pictures, it goes to light and dark. That's a really good thing to have. But what do we want? Maybe we don't want it in this section. And we can simply, maybe we want this section first, and maybe we want our pricing right down the bottom here. Okay, we can do that. So simply we can go here and we can grab it and we can drag it all the way back down to here and we can go, there we go. That's where we want to dump you. Now it's dumped all the way down into that blue section. So always look for that little blue that's right here and just dump that section in there and it'll connect to it. Again, just to make sure that you guys see it one more time. We've got it. We've got the selection. We see the blue there. That's exactly where we want to put it. And we just let go. So we just grab it with the mouse, hold the mouse button, the left-hand mouse button, and then we just drag it to whatever section we want to do. Here we're quite happy to move this section and it's so easy to do. And now we can just go update our page. So why don't we go and update our page? Because it's looking quite good. So we'll just update our page, make sure that that saves first, and then we'll go and preview it again down in the left-hand corner here. And we can actually see that we've still got the exact same page, the exact same layout, and it looks really good. It's edited everything to make sure that it's exactly like our website all the way through, which looks really, really good. It saves you a lot of time. And now down here in the training rates, we've got this. So again, we can move a couple little things around. Obviously you can move it in. It's very much like thing. And then we have all of our little symbols here. And again, we can just change those pictures around. And if you were into personal training, or maybe you had a restaurant or anything, because not everyone's going to be picking the gaming theme that we're doing and the Twitch kind of thing. If you're creating a business, this is just leagues ahead of where your competitors are going to be. And you've just saved yourself thousands of dollars in doing this guide. And you've just saved yourself so much time, because you can always come back and edit these things. And this is so important when you're in business. Don't pay other people to do work that you can do yourself. Learn how to do it yourself. And then when you're coming in here to do these sections, you can simply update these sections, because a lot of people won't understand how to even update these prices. So say if your prices, if you're a personal trainer and your prices change to, I don't know, maybe since it's COVID-19 lockup, and maybe you can't train as many people anymore. You might be doing it online through, I don't know, Skype or something like that. You're not really there. So your training price may come from $275 down to maybe $100. I'm not quite sure what personal trainers charge. You can update yourself. Most people won't even understand how to jump onto their website and add new things. They'll actually have to contact the person who made it, and they're going to charge you a fee to actually change all this. And this is why this is so important, to actually learn how to do these step-by-step things. With these starter templates in there, you can create anything you want to create. And it's so important. Okay, so now that this is looking pretty good, if we scroll back up the top of this page, we can see that there's a problem already. Our navigation bar hasn't picked up on this test page. So any visitor that's coming to your website will not be able to find this page. It's just not simply going to exist. So we're going to fix that up now. But why we're leaving this section right now, this was never to show you an in-depth way on how to edit each and every little thing. We're going to do that later in the tutorial. This was just pretty much how you grab a blank page, put in a starter template, or in this case, we've actually added in a couple different starter templates, and mix and match so that you can have something to work with. You've saved yourself hours and hours of time. So now we really want to fix this up. So how do we add to our navigation bar? Okay, we go up to the top here, we go customize, we wait for it to load. Once it comes on here, we can see that it's given us a whole bunch of stuff so we can play with all these footers, home page settings, all this different thing. But for this bit, we're just going to go to the menus section right here, wait for that to load up. Then we're going to go to current set to primary menu. So we're going to go up to our menu section here, and we can see it's gone to our home, about, services and projects and contacts page, which is pretty simple to do. So all we need to do now is to add our page, is to add our test page. We'll just add that, and then we can see it down here. So it's added up the top here, and we can just see right at the top here, it's given us test. Great, we can actually rename it if we want to, but at the moment it's looking pretty good. Maybe it's a little bit too far out of the way, so maybe we want to move this bar up the top here. We've moved it. Okay, so now it's moved in front of contacts. And again, it's just picking up the thing and grabbing and dragging. Maybe we want it before our home page, which I wouldn't advise you to do, but we'll just put it after our home page. Again, we're not going to keep this page anyway. It's just simply a test page. Now, what happens if you want to go, okay, I don't really need this page, but I want it to have a sub menu? Oh, you can do that. So if we go back down to maybe our projects page, and we just go from, instead of putting it over onto the left here, we put it over to the right here. You can see it on the little menu thing. You see that little etched out line or extra sketch of where our thing is. We just drop it there. And so right now, when we go to our projects thing, it'll be underneath there. But at the moment, we haven't set the color. So that's what we're going to go and show you now. But I'm not going to keep it this way because I don't actually want this section to have a whole bunch of different things. Okay, so we're actually going to delete that and get rid of that. We'll put that about section back to where it was so that we don't have that anymore. And we're going to grab our little test thing and we're actually going to delete this test thing. But it's just simply to show you what you can do on here and that you can do this with anything. So if you want our test section to be underneath this contacts for whatever reason, you can do that. If you want our about section to be underneath these contacts, you can do that. And it just makes the box a little bit more thing. But we don't want that at all, or at least I don't. So we can just simply get back out of there. And with this test one, we can simply just remove the test and it just gets rid of it. It's just very simple to do, but it just shows you how to do these things. Without actually doing the step, you will never ever be able to have this page visible to your people. Now, you might also see just down the bottom here, we can simply click on these little links here. We may as well show you why you're here. And what this is showing you a desktop view, so it looks all very, very pretty. And then if you go back down to here, this is showing you what a tablet might look like, and we can see that it looks good. I don't actually personally use tablets, but everything's there. It's all hovering over nice. So you just get a brief overview of what's happening. And then if you go down to your mobile phone, we can see that, again, it's shortened everything up. And we can edit all this later for tablets and mobiles or indirectly. But at the moment, it's looking okay. It's not the best, but it's still there, especially for phone. Phones are always going to be a little bit more tricky to edit content, but we'll do that a little bit later. And then if you just want to get back up to your normal view, we go back up here. Now that we've shown you how to put in these navigation things so that people can actually find your website who are visiting your website, so visitors coming there, we've shown you how to do that. We've shown you how to indent some of the things. We're just going to fix this up here because I don't know why you would want this contacts per bang, and then boom, that's fixed up, so we don't really need to do this anymore. So how are we going to change this submenus color so that we can have it so that if we come over here and you did have that, you did want a submenu, maybe you're doing, I don't know, a celebrity blog and you wanted to have, or I don't know, a whole bunch of celebrity males underneath one category, you can do this. So let's make sure we can go and change it now. So if we go back out of here and we just click on these little menus, we go back to header, and then we go back to transparent header. So we need to go and do this because obviously we have a navigation bar that is transparent. So if we go down to here and we can see we're enabling our editing for desktop plus mobile. If we go down to our submenu, which was our little submenu when we had that test thing in here, and we click on this little text thing, it'll come up here. And we want to change our link color. So we can change our link color. And if we change it to black, that's going to be good. And we can even change a background color as well. So if you just click on them, add them, I'm not going to actually do that. And then if you stuff up, you can just push the clear button. I'm not actually going to do that because we're not going to have any links for this, but it's useful to see that and how you change it. And it's quite nicely done. It's very easy to do. And that's all you need to do on that section to fix up those sections. But again, I'm not going to actually do any of that because we actually don't need to, because I'm not having any submenus in there, but you may have a lot of them. And now you know how to do it. Okay, now that we've shown you how to do this, there's a couple other things that we might as well show you why we're here. The background color. So the background color is pretty much just for this top bar here. Maybe you want to select a color. I don't know. Maybe you want it red. I don't think it looks very good, but you might want it there. It might work with your branding, and that's how to change the background color of this bar here. Yeah, it's not really for me. And if I don't want that change, we can just simply clear that and it goes back to our normal page and we don't even need to do that. But again, if you want to change the color of it, you might, and you might want to brand everything yourself. So what do we want to do now? We want to scroll back out of here and we want to change some of the other settings here. So if we go back out of here and we go back to primary header, we can change around the layout and the navigation of how this bar at the top here, this navigation bar actually works. Now, I wouldn't suggest changing this because it looks really, really good. Like here, this is pretty much the stock standard. You're always going to have your emblem or your symbol up the top here of your company name, your logo, which is for the stock standard here, CR and nature. And then you're usually going to have our thing here, but we can change it by simply just scrolling through here. Again, I'm not recommending this because I don't like the way this looks. I think that looks quite messy. Or you can have the logo switched around to the right hand side. And again, it's back to front to what most people would do. We're just going to leave it back here because I just don't think it looks that nice unless it's in your country. Other countries have their logos on different sides of bits of paper. If you're from another country, maybe not a Western country like Australia from where we're from, or America or England, you may have your logo wherever you like it. I just think it looks the neatest here. And if you're dealing with international clients, then this is where you want to go. So let's look at this call to action button. This take action button is probably the last thing we really need to show you with the navigation thing here. Kind of gone through all this. So if we go back out of there and we go to primary menu, we can see that the last one is a button and it says take action. So maybe we don't want that anymore. Maybe we don't need a take action bar. Maybe we just want a search thing. It'll change it so you can type in a search thing wherever it does it. So then it's changed. See, we have a little search function and people can search on your website. Or maybe you don't want anything there, so you can just get rid of it. And we can certainly do that, and it looks quite nice. Or maybe we just want to keep it as a button because I feel it looks quite good. A call to action thing is a great way to get people interactive on your website or whatever. So we can actually rename that button. So if you go down to the button text here, you can actually rename it. And if you wanted to link somewhere, we can do that as well. So by simply just pulling out of there, boom, and throwing in wherever you want to link it, and then pushing publish as well. And then once we've published this, it should be able to think. So since we've got kind of like the Twitch theme going, maybe we want to do that, we can just exit out of that. And when it actually goes back to our real website, we can simply click on this button and hopefully it goes to our actual Twitch thing. So this is kind of just our little template thing. We've only been doing this for a couple of days, so there's not really many followers or viewers in here, but it's just simply to show you how you can, put in a link to another website, or you could put it into, you don't even need to link it out to somewhere else. We can simply just kind of link it into this example here. So again, it's very nice. You can even have it linking back to your services or somewhere else, another forum or web blog post. It's just a call to action button. And it looks really, really good. I think these call to action things are really, really nice. And for me, while we're here, we might as well think. Once we customize anything, if you're a little bit lost on these panels and you want to customize something, and maybe you're really new to this and you don't know how to get to these areas here, simply just hover over here and you see the little blue highlighting. I guess that's a pencil or whatever the hell it is. Station mark or whatever. Or if you want to go over to here, we simply click on it and it will take you over to it. And I don't think a lot of people actually know about this, but it's just a simple little thing. So now I want to go back over here. It's going to take us over, hopefully back over to here, but it's taken us somewhere. And then if we want to edit this one, it'll take us over to a different subsection. So if you want to edit different things and we want to move around, it makes things a little bit quicker. So you can actually find it on your menu. So it's taken us to menus, and that's all it's going to do. That's all those little buttons there. But if you ever get lost and you don't know exactly, well, how am I going to get to somewhere? How am I going to edit something? And if you see one of these overviews of like this little blue pencil, that's what we're going to call it now, this little blue stationary thing. That's all you need to do to actually get to that area of the widget. And then if you want to save something and you're really happy with it, make sure you push the publish button and then you push that little X and it takes you back to your main website. And that looks really, really nice. Now, with this in mind, we want to do our logo next. And that's what we're going to focus on in the next part of the tutorial, is getting our logo, our branding all done. And I'm going to show you some of the cool things that you can do. And I'm going to also show you why you should do it and what programs you should do and use. Okay, so now that we've done everything, let's look at our logo. So if we simply click on this, this will take us back to from our test page to our main home page. And we can see that there's a nice little logo that they've given you and it looks okay. But what happens if we want to create our own? Then I'm going to tell you what programs to use. And I'm even going to show you one of the logos that I did within 3 minutes. But I'm going to run through everything. Okay, so this is our little logo here. So if we right click on this, and if you're using Google Chrome, we can inspect Element and we can see, and we can scroll down here. So we can see that our logo, or their logo that they've put on here, is only 90 by 44 pixels. Okay, that's great. It's showing you it's not that big. And then if you go down here, you can see, instead of going through all this padding and borders and stuff, if you just get down here, it highlights. If you can see where my mouse is on the right hand side, you can see that's 90 by 44 pixels. That's as big as you want to make it. And that's the easiest thing. If you're just going to edit this template exactly like it is so it all matches, that's as big as you need to make this actual logo. Most logos on most businesses are very, very simple. They're smaller in size because they don't want to detract from what they're trying to sell you or what they're trying to see. It's just simply there to make it look professional. I'm simply showing you this inspect element thing. And if you've never used this before, even though we've used it in the tutorial, it's very helpful just to go down here to inspect the element that you want to look at. And then we can see that it's 90 by 44 pixels. Okay. And then we can change it, see what paddings and borders they've done, and just get down to what we need to do, the brass tacks of what we want to do. Now, once we're here, let's go overview of some of the programs that you may be able to use to make a transparent logo. So we don't want a background with this. Make sure that it's a transparent logo. So let's go with the first one, Maxon's Cinema 4D. Now, this is probably the best 3D program that you can use that's currently on the market. It's also the most expensive. So if you're not a university student or if you don't have a child in a, I don't know, school or something like this, it's going to be very expensive to buy this, but you can make the best looking thing. And obviously, if you, what this image that you see before you here is all made on their website in Cinema 4D. You can do text, you can do videos. This is what all the major players out there are using to create 3D and 4D art and all sorts of things. It's just called Cinema 4D, and that's what you really want to do. And we can just simply have an overview of it here, and you can go through this at your leisure, and you can make all this kind of thing. It's very, there's tutorials out there, and we may do some of these tutorials at a later stage, but it is hard to show people off the bat how to do a simple logo, but it is there. Maybe you don't want that, and maybe you want something a little bit easy to use. Then I even recommend using Photoshop. Photoshop is a stock standard bearing. Some people will have this. Again, it's a little bit pricey. You actually have to pay for it. Maybe you've got an older version like I do, and I have both older versions of Cinema 4D and Photoshop, so there's no point showing you those older versions in this tutorial right now. But if you have an older version or you have the new version, I think they charge it on a monthly basis now, and I'd probably say it's probably about $20 to $30 a month, depending on where you are in the world. It's very, very useful. So many tutorials out there to show you how to do this. Just make sure you have a transparent background. So what happens if you don't have access to any of these and you still want to do something? Then Photopea is a free, you just sign up for an account and you just start making transparent backgrounds, and you have all the controls here. I'm not going to go through too much of this. I'm just going to show it to you because I feel it distracts from everything. We've already made our thing, so we don't need to go ahead and do that right now. But they're just simply here. I've just put these in here so that you can follow any of these. And if you have Photoshop, or if you're a student yourself, or you have a kid in school, then sign up for the student ones because they're a lot cheaper a month than the full cost ones. And they do have student ones here because they're people in universities and high schools, and even in lower end schools like middle schools, that sort of thing, depending on what country you are in, that are all going to have access to this because this is what kids are making in class now. This is what students at university are doing it in, and it's just really simple to think. So when we'll just get out of this. So when we're back here at our home page, it's very easy to navigate to. Okay, so now we want to go and change this Sierra Nature little logo here. So it's very simple to do. We just go up to customize, wait for it to load. We'll go to header, we'll go to site identity, and then we can see that there is a logo here that says, it's very hard to see, but you can see it there. It says logo Sierra Nature. It's in white text. So we really just want to change this. We can make it bigger if we want to by going down to the logo width and going, just sliding the scroll left to right and make it bigger and smaller. But we don't really need to do any of that. So what we want to do is just go, no, we don't need to do any of that. We don't need to make it any bigger or anything like that. We just want to change the logo. So we're going to go and change the logo. Now, we'll go to our media file and see it's brought in a lot of stuff that we don't need from other things. We can delete that stuff later. We don't need any of those logos from when we introduced that website. But here's the thing, what we want to do. We go here, we select the files that we've made. Now we've already checked that it's the 19, whatever it is, 90 by 40 pixels, as we hint, by 44 pixels. There we go. So that's our logo one. And we've made a couple of these, as you can see, at different sizes. But for this, we're just going to stick exactly to what they've got here as reference. So all we have to do is click on this file here and import it. And just make sure it's got a transparent background. Instead of having a preview, maybe we'll just put in here a logo that we can just put in the title here and alt text. logo, and then we can just select this. Okay, now this is asking you to crop this. You can skip this, but we'll just crop it a little bit. We can see that it's a little off center, so we don't need all of that stuff. So we'll just grab there, so it's a bit smaller logo. There we go. Crop that image, and then this image will be cropped. And then as we can see here, it's changed this image. Now, if we just go publish, and then we go back to our main site, we'll find out that it actually hasn't done anything, but it has. Okay, so we've changed that, but when we scroll through, there's nothing up here. This logo hasn't changed here. And some of you will get to this point and go, what have we done here? Okay, we can simply go back up to customization. We'll go back and we're going to go and check that header again and site identity. And we can see that the logo is actually updated. But remember, this right up the top here is our normal bar here. This is our navigation bar. So what we want to do is just click on that little blue pencil and it'll go there, and you can see that that logo is still stuck on this Sierra Nature. I know it's very hard to see, but if you see on the left hand side here where my mouse is going around, you can still see it. All we need to do is change that image to the one that we already have in our media library, and that will be updated as well. So what we've done, all I've done with this one is just choose that image, and then it should all work, and you'll see it come up here. And then you can see it's just been done very, very quickly in Cinema 4D. I think it took me about 2 minutes to make, and it looks quite good. We may do a guide for that down the track, but not right now. And then all we have to do is publish. We go back there, and it looks. Oh, wait on. That's all. Let's just wait and see the publishing thing still going. It does take some time sometimes. And there we go. You have to love these things. And then we go back to our website once we X out of there. And then, as you can see, we have the GFF logo. And then if we go back to another internet thing, this is the old one. If we just refresh that up the top here, we'll see that it has got rid of that Sierra Nature thing. And now it's looking a little bit more professional. A little bit. Okay, so now that we've fixed up the site logo and that's looking quite good, and we've used that in Cinema 4D with a transparent background, and you can use anything Photoshop or that Photopea. It's really up to you and what you feel comfortable using it. There's millions of guides on YouTube. Just go and grab them. Now we want to have a look. If we scroll up to the top here and we hover over our website, it's at the top of here in our address bar, we can see that it's got my branding, so Grim Firefly, which is fine. But it says next to it a tag, just another WordPress website. And we don't want that. We want it to come up with things. So how does this look, and how does this, why is it so important? Because obviously you want to have whatever your brand is on the left-hand side, and then just a tagline. So the easiest way to do this is to show you an exemplar from maybe Google. So look, we've just put in IGN, which is a video game reviewer, walker, whatever the hell you want to call it. And they've got pretty good things. So you can see that in the Google search bar and how Google would use it. See, they've got their IGN. So, okay, we can see that. And then next to it, they have their tagline, video games, news, reviews, and walkthroughs. That's what it's going to look like when someone searches for your brand or your website through Google, and it's going to come up with this. Some people don't actually have the tagline. They might just have IGN, for example. But as you can see here, when we hover over IGN's actual website here, if it actually goes to it, boom, there we go. Video game news, reviews, and walkthroughs on IGN. So they've got theirs at the last thing, but then they just have that tag thing, exactly like it's showing up here is the tag. And it's really, really important for a number of different things, especially when people come to identify your website. And it really does make a big difference when you're doing your Google searches. You just don't want to have this blank. Sometimes our one will come up and you might get your website if you're with HostGator, and it might come up with a little symbol here, and it's got, instead of this W here, it might have like a little gator. And obviously you're just promoting their brands. Let's go and fix that now so we don't have any issues. And we don't want to really, promote WordPress or HostGator. They're not paying us any money to. We want to put our branding on there. So if you're a gardener, baker, whatever your website's about, you want to be promoting you, not someone else's brand unless you're getting paid for it. Okay, so now let's go and edit all this so that we can have it all customized. So if we go back up to customization and we go to our header again, our header area, and we go to site identity this time and click on site identity, we can already see that it's got the Grim Firefly up the top there. So that's our brand. So we want to just keep that there. You might have something else that's your brand. Maybe you've got just initials. So you might have GFF, for instance. Do whatever you like. Now we go down to the tagline. So this is what's going to show up on the top here to the right. So we can see it says just another WordPress website. We don't want to see that anymore. Maybe we just want to put in our own tag that's entertainer, live broadcaster, and gamer. So we can do that now. And we can just publish it and then boom. And as we can see, it's already done up the top here. Entertainer, live broadcaster, and gamer. So interesting, great. That's how you change it. So that's when someone searches for me, or maybe searches for me in Google, that's going to come up Grim Firefly, and then that's going to come up next to it. So they already know what I'm doing. They're not going to be like, well, who's this Grim Firefly guy, right? They already know what I do. So what do we want to do if we want to get rid of this W right up the top here, where you can see at the top here on our thing, this ugly looking WordPress thing? We don't want to be promoting WordPress or HostGator or any of those little symbols there. We want to have our own symbol. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to select an icon thing. So if we go down to this site icon here and we just hover over it, we can see that we want to change it. So we go into our library here and we'll just go up to uploads. You can put in your emblem up the top here, but I'm just going to pick a picture because I know it's a little bit bright. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you an exemplar. So if we just click on this image here, which is of Yuno Gasai, who's an anime character, some of you may or may not know, she's one of my favorite ones. We're just going to upload that. Okay, even though that's a large image, we can just go select that, and then it's going to want us to crop. Yeah, it looks like a good image. We just wanted to crop. Obviously, it's not going to look that big. And the reason why we're putting Yuno up on the top of our thing here is because it's just an interesting color. Okay, you look at all the logos up the top here. This is a very plain looking thing with just a W, and then we have next to it our Cinema 4D Maxon kind of thing, and then we have Photoshop, Adobe. You know all these brand logos from when you see them, and then the IGN one as well. You'd probably know it. But for this instance, we're just doing this for the tutorial. We're just going to crop the image like this, wait for it to go ahead, and then we can see it's already uploaded up the top there. So we can see that little Yuno Gasai thing. Some people won't be able to think. Don't spend a whole bunch of time editing files for this. Just make anything that you think's good and small enough to fit up the top there, because at the end of the day, I can barely make out the images, but you might have a logo that you really want up there. Maybe we could put a GFF up there if we really wanted to, and that would be fine. We're just trying to make it stand out. So when someone comes to your website, they can go, oh yeah, look, everything's customized, whether you're a gardener, a baker, I don't know, a personal trainer, maybe you have a set of dumbbells up the top there. I don't know, but it looks really, really good, and it makes the whole website look really professional. So we can just simply get out of there now. We've done our site identity, we've done our tagline, we've got who we are, Grim Firefly, Entertainer, Live Broadcaster. That's what's going to show up in Google. And it just makes it look so much more professional if you do these simple steps. And now, finally, I think we can start to edit in greater detail some of these pages and replace some of these background images and work around some of these texts and show you guys how to really edit this so it's all nicely done. So that'll be in the next section. Actually, before I move on, I might as well show you another way to edit your site identity, just in case WordPress moves these things around, just so you know exactly where it is. So it might not be up in this bar anymore, but if we go back, so instead of clicking on customize and our header settings, it might move in the future. Let's go back to our dashboard. So we simply go back to our WordPress dashboard, and we can go down to settings, and we can look at general, and we just push on general and wait for that page to pop up, and we can see that it's uploaded here as well. So site titles here, tagline is here, additional URLs are all here as well, and we can just simply edit those, save them, and update them. I just wanted to show you before we move on to the next section another way, because sometimes WordPress uploads and changes things and updates a whole bunch of different things. and it might move from where it is. But now you've got two areas to go to. There's no right and wrong way to edit anything on WordPress. There's multiple ways to edit, and none of them are right or wrong. They just change from time to time, and some become easier, and that's why that area is highlighted. But I just wanted to show this and point this to you guys before we move on to the next thing, that you can edit it from two different areas if you get into trouble. Okay, before we start editing our home page and all those other different categories that you saw on there in a little bit more detail, it's easier to show you what's going to happen now. Since we're going to be importing a lot of images and media into our website, we need to know how to delete media and images before we get into the next step. So we're simply back at our dashboard, and if you ever get in trouble, if you're on your website, we'll visit our website right now and make sure it looks all nice. It still looks as good as it did a couple minutes ago. If we go back to our dashboard and we go to media and we just look at our media library, we can just simply click on it here and it'll load all up. And as you can see, we've got a lot of images that we really don't need. Like, why do we need this fitness thing here anymore? We don't. We can just simply delete it. And we can just go along and just completely delete all these extra images that we don't need. We simply did this for our our test page that we did earlier on in the tutorial. We don't need any of these images, and you could just go simply ahead and delete all these images that you don't need. I'm just going to clear it out now because it's going to look very messy when we go into the next section. But I would keep, if I was you and you were using our Sierra Nature template, keep all these ones that you see down here until we get to the end of the tutorial, because we're going to be using these as kind of templates to doing what we're doing. Because we're going to look at the dimensions of each image, and we're going to sort it out a lot easier than if you just bulk deleted all these. Your website's just going to end up looking like nothing. So just a little word of caution before we move on. Delete what you don't need anymore, but don't delete the template that you're actually using. So if you're using Sahara Nature, keep all these images. We can delete them at the end of the video. Okay, now in this part of the tutorial, we can start to edit our page and make it look really, really fancy. Now, we've already used Elementor a little bit on our test page, but now we're actually going to do a more in-depth analysis and look at all the functions. So how do we get to Elementor? Well, it's very simple. We already have our WordPress navigation bar right up the top here, and we can go and hover over and go back to our dashboard if we want to, but we don't need to in this thing. We've already used our customization tool to do our navigation for our logo and our navigation bar to the right here on our home page and services page and projects. And we'll edit that a little bit later on again and redefine that later on in the tutorial. But for right now, if we want to launch Elementor, all we have to do is to edit with Elementor right up the top here. Now, what is Elementor? It's a page builder that we'll be using. If you've never used it before, it'll simply load up like this, and it's very much like Microsoft Word. If you've ever used Word, I guarantee that 99% of you probably have, you'll be able to use this program. It's very simple to use. They've made a great effort to do things. So let's look about what we can do here. On the left-hand side of our screen, we can see our Elementor, and this is our Elementor editing area. So we can drag things over if we want to. We can look at bringing in an image. So we just drag it across, click it and drag it across, a heading, a text, a button, and put a YouTube video in there, put a Google Maps in there, a divider. Now that's all basic, and basic means free, which is great. That's what we want. What happens if we want to go pro? Again, when you scroll down a little bit here on this sidebar, we can see that we can edit things a little bit different. We've got galleries, we've got logins, we've got sliders, we've got price lists, flip boxes, media carousels, which look very, very pretty and very, very good on your website. But again, once we click on it, we don't have access to it because we have to pay a monthly fee to it. Now, I think Elementor is great, but at the moment we're on a budget, so we can't actually go and do or buy or purchase a monthly fee to actually use it. But these are all areas, if you want to, and widgets that you might want to actually invest in the future on your website. That's up to you. But for this tutorial, we're not going to do any of that because it's just too expensive and most people won't access these things. If you click on these ones and you want to see it in action, click on it to open up a new window up the top here, and it'll take you to it, and it'll show you a video and give you an overview of what you're actually going to be purchasing if you purchase Pro. And that's up to you if you want to. So when we go back up here, we can hit up basics to open up the thing. It's just a little drop down menu, or we can get rid of it. Same as Pro. We don't really need that. So we'll get rid of that. So we can just go basics, and then you've got more general things down the road, testimonials, social icons, all the good stuff that you want added in. Even if you wanted to add it in HTML, you can do that as well. Now, let's hover back over to our website. Now our website's just over here, and we see that there's a blue little box up the top here, and you can see it. And you can see if you look faintly, I don't know how well the video capture will capture all this, but there's a little blue outline around the top and the box, and we can simply click on this to edit, or we can push the X to the right to delete it. We don't want to delete it for this one, so if we just click on that, it comes out with the layout. It's the edit section. So we can adjust the height, the vertical alignment, the overflow, which all sounds really, really nice, and we can change the style. So this is where we get in there and change borders, the typography of text, and we can delete and add images, and even add videos if we want to, which we'll be doing in a later stage. But so let's look at this home page a little bit more in depthly. So if we scroll down here, we can see that the welcome to can be edited. The Sierra Nature can be edited. But you can edit these things independently of one another. So if you do want to edit this, it's not going to necessarily affect the Sierra Natural Park. It's not. It's not going to affect the Learn More icon. We can delete these without ruining our theme. Now if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see that little blue bar down here is thing. So if we go to this one, we can just click on this, and now that blue icon and the border has gone around the text down here. So now we can edit all these sections if we want to independently. It's already been set up for you. It is so simple to use. And then if we want to scroll down a little bit more, we can see all these texts. And then if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see there's another little blue box. If we click that again in the middle, we can see it wants to edit this thing. If we click style here, it's another picture, it's another background picture. And then on this one, if we click just on here, we can see it's been split up into two sections, and with all different little sections. So if we don't want this divider here, we can delete that. If we want to add in an image, we can do that as well. If we want to change this text around without screwing up all the themes that they've already worked hard on. Then when we get down to here, again, another little box that you click on. So you just click on that square little symbol in there. We can look at all this. We've got a very nice overlay. It's called projects. And then each image here can be clicked on and just cycle through, and you can edit and change them as you want. All you got to do is just click on that and edit thing. We're going to be doing all that in a second. And then we can also add extra things. So we can go back to this section up here by going over to Elementor and just dragging in a section that we want to, or a button or YouTube or whatever we want, and just putting it in one of these little areas to edit. Okay, so let's look at Elementor a little bit more in depthly on the side here, because some of the tutorials won't run through this. So we've got Elementor, our little bar that comes up the top here. This is just a little overlay. It's in front of where we're editing, and it just has everything that you need to select. So we've got our everything that we can drag and drop across. We can edit things. And what happens if we want to navigate out of a section or back home? So at the top of this Elementor bar here, we'll hit this little, I don't know what these little things are, little square, little lines here, and this will take us back to our Finder. Now this is our navigation bar, so we can exit out of here, and we can exit to our dashboard if we want to, or we can exit to our view page if we want to, and this will take us back to the page that you're actually on. So we can just click view page, and it'll take us out of Elementor and back to just our normal WordPress admin area. Now, if we want to open up a section, we'll just go up across the top here with Elementor, boom, hit that little square box here with all these little squares in there, and this will give us a section of our basic section of images and text edits and all this type of thing. So what else do we want to do? Maybe we've made some changes and we're not ready to publish yet. We'll scroll back down to the bottom here where you can see all these things. If you're happy with the edits that you've done, we'll push this little update button. It'll come up as green, and we'll see that later in the tutorial. And we just click that and it'll update and save. What happens if we want to preview changes? We'll click on this little thing. It'll open up another little window at the top here, and you can preview changes before you save it. What happens if we want to see a responsive mode? Now this is very interesting because this will show your website as a desktop, which is what we've got our view on now. Let's just scroll up because we can see it a little bit better. It's a little bit better if we do this. Then we want to go to tablet view. It'll scroll it down so you can see what changes look like on a tablet and even onto a mobile device, which is quite nice for us that don't usually use mobile devices. And if you don't have a smartphone, you can actually see what your website is going to look like, which is great. And that's one of the key things that makes Elementor so good, because you can actually see real world changes and what each change is going to affect, whether someone's using a desktop, whether that be Mac, PC, whatever. Then we can go down to like a tablet, and then we can go to a mobile device, which is great. And then we can just simply close that section. This is a history section, and since we haven't edited anything here, if you really get into trouble and you've made a mistake before you publish, it'll come up with all these different areas, and you can just scroll back, and we'll show you this as we're editing, and you can just click on one of these save features. So it saves every couple of seconds, and you can scroll back in time, or you can just push Control Z or Command Z if you're on a PC or a Mac, depending on which one you use, and that will actually take out. So if we accidentally made a change, this is our nature park here, and we weren't happy with it, we could just go Control Z on a PC or Command Z on a Mac, and it would revert back, very much like Word or Microsoft Office would do in any kind of application. But it doesn't always work with those command prompts. But if you really get into trouble, just jump down to history, and then we can do that. Navigator bar. This is really quite cool, okay? Now, if we want to look up something, and we want to look at sections, and maybe we haven't seen, or we kind of run through all this already, but we can edit with this little blue bar up the top here, and we can exit out. Okay, we've already done that. But what happens if I want to scroll to a complete section within that section? I can look at now, okay, let's go to header. Okay, cool. It's taken me to the first header, and we can see that's selected here on the little blue outline. Or here. Now, when I scroll through all these sections, I can see that there's different things for different things. So I can see there's a button here. Good. Icon here. Okay, this is an icon. That's what they name it. So I know I can put in images or different things to, make these things look really, really nice. But I can use this navigation bar here in case I get into trouble and I'm trying to figure out what I need to edit. So if we go down to the last section here, it'll actually scroll down, which is the last section of this editable page. So we can't edit anything else after this. And that makes us look a little bit strange, because look at this section. I can't actually select anything from the bottom of our page here. I can't change this icon here. I can't change any of these buttons in this About Me section page. I can't do any of these little highlighted things. And a lot of people would probably get up to this tutorial bit if I didn't show you this and be like, stuck here, and maybe spend a couple hours trying to figure out like, what's happening here. Simply put, that the page, if you're ever in doubt and you can't highlight anything, use this little navigation bar here that's down on Elementor here, and we'll just click on it again, this sort of page stacks here, and you can see where it's the endpoint of the editable page is. So we've got the start up this here, so we can go back up the top here, and then you can see that's where we can start editing from, and then we can stop, finish editing at here. This actual footer here with all this About Me section is not actually able to be edited from this section. It's actually on a different page, and I'll show you how to edit that later in the program. I just wanted to point that out before we start editing, because some people get to this point and get frustrated because they can't edit this bottom section here. That's in a different location, and it's hidden away, and it's actually a footer. So we've already done the header, which was our navigation bar, in the first bit of the tutorial, and now we can kind of exit out of that. If you don't want this little box up here, this navigator bar, we can just get rid of it. And then again, we've got settings here, which we don't need to really, I don't think anyone needs to know any more than that. We can see pretty much what it is. So what happens if we wanted to get back out of here? Let's go back to our page. Yes, I want to leave this section. It's letting me know that we're leaving this section. We're back to our rimfirefigg.com normal website with our WordPress thing. And then if we want to go to dashboard, we can go to the dashboard. If we want to go back to Elementor, we can go back to Elementor. Now this has shown you everything that you need to get in and out of things. This is for new users who've never used Elementor before. A lot of guides don't cover what I just did here. Maybe they think it's too basic, but a lot of people are going to get lost. And again, if we scroll down through this page, you are going to get lost if you don't know that this is a footer, this section is a footer. And some people will spend time there. I actually had another person do this, and I didn't actually tell them about the footer, and they spent half a day without coming to actually tell me what the problem was, when I could have showed them in 3 minutes. So that's why I bring that up, okay? Because people get lost. Not everyone's built with PC or Mac savvy word editing kind of things. And instead of sitting there in silence, I'd rather let you show you now and warn you that this is not editable from this section right here. So in the next section, we'll start doing all the cool pictures, and that's about it. Okay, so let's start editing. So let's look at these background pictures. They're very, very cool. I like wherever they got these from. I like the elephant. I really do like the fact that they have this beach setting. I don't know why. I don't know. Is this park got a beach setting? Who knows? It looks pretty cool. Whatever it is, it looks really stylish. So let's go and edit that now. So if we go back up to here and we click on the little blue box at the top here, it'll take us to our layout. We just want to click on style and we can see that there's an image here, and that's the image that we want to edit straight off the back here. So our background image for our website. Let's click on this and choose an image. Now, it'll take us to our media library. We don't have any images at the moment, so we're going to import some images. So we can go up to the top over here, go to upload files, and select some files from the top here. Let's just see what we've got here. Since we're a gaming theme, we'll just have a look, a little hover over this. And okay, I want to bring in some of these. We can see that these are quite large dimensions. So you've got 3840 times 1600. So they're very high quality images. So let's just grab these two wallpapers that you see before you, and we'll use these two, and we'll open them up at the same time. You can, if people don't know how to do this, you click on the image, then shift click to the next image that you want to import at the same time. And it'll take a little bit of time. As you can see, it's got to put it onto our server, take it from our computer, put it onto a web server, and now we can click through all these different images. But I really like the elephant, but we're not going to use the elephant anymore because we're going to do our gaming and Twitch theme. You might have, I don't know, a gardening theme that you want to do, baking theme, a fitness theme, whatever you want to do. Add those images in here, but just make sure that they're very high quality images, because remember, this is what's going to go in the background of your image. So bigger dimensions that are a bit more bulky in file size are better for your background image because it's going to make it look a lot better. So let's just face it, we'll use this image. It's from World of Warcraft. We can see this. Now, I'm going to tell you straight off the back here, and we can see before we even import this image, for the sake of everyone doing this, when we're adding in images or when we're adding in anything to our website, media that we want to use, we're better off changing the title and maybe even putting a description or a caption in there if we wanted to, mainly for Google Analytics and the way Google puts things into their search engine. So what we want to do, or what you might want to do, say if you had a baking theme, you might want to put in your title of your company and whatever you're baking, okay, into the title or into the description. So when someone goes and looks at baking products in Google or Google Images, yours might have a lot better chance of actually being noticed and put into a higher ranking than, say, random image 00001 or 00002. And it just makes it a lot better, and it's just easier later on. So I'm just going to share that now. We're not going to do this because this website is never actually going to be used for anything. We're just going to take Lady Sylvanas here, but I would advise you to do it. Just put in whatever it is, your brand name, image, what it relates to, so that Google can actually analyze it a lot better when they're putting these images into their search function. So we're just going to insert this media, okay? Let's just insert here. And now we have Lady Sylvanas at the top here. Great. She looks great, right? It's in the right image. It's an excellent looking image. It's a high res image. That's what you really want to do. And now what happens if we want to keep this image? Okay, we just push update. So we're going to update this page. Excellent. It's updated. Now I'm going to go and I want to preview these changes. So I'm just going to open up a new little tab at the bottom here. And look, this is our home page right now. Now what happens if you find that this bar's in the way here? I always have multiple different internet applications open. So we can go back to this application here. We can go back. This is how our website used to look without that WordPress bar in here. And we can just simply refresh that. And we can make sure that we're really, really happy with what your visitors are going to look at when you get to your website. And it may take a little bit of time, but we'll get back to that bit in a second, if it ever loads up. Our internet's doing really well today. It's great to live in Australia. Great internet. All right. So we'll wait for that image to load back up. Maybe it's taking a little bit of time, but that's fine. We can see that this image is exactly what we want to. So we can just push the little X button down there. Excellent. So what happens if we want to go to our next background setting? Okay, we just go over to this little bar here. We can select it. We can go back up to our Elementor selector, style, and we can see that this image is here, and we can do that. And what we really want to do is just click on this again. So we'll choose the image. Why, that's a great looking beach shot. We really don't need it anymore. So we're just going to import this random World of Warcraft character, Death Knight, whatever it is. I've actually, how bad is that? I've forgotten what the character's actually name. Again, you would change the title and maybe put in an alt text and maybe put a description of what you're with, so your brand name and stuff. But for this tutorial, just to save time, I'm not going to edit all these images and put all these texts in. I'm going to be a bit lazier, but when you're trying to put all your branding out there, all these images are going to show up next to your name. So if someone enters in Grim Firefly GG or something, I want all these images in Google's images. If someone clicks on it, I want people to find us, and that's what we're trying to put into your mind right now. So we just insert the media again, and again, this image looks pretty cool, and it's got this cool little effect. Now, I really like it, and I think it looks really, really good. And again, just push update. And again, if you want to preview the changes, we just go down to this little preview change, click it once, and it'll load back up to the home page, and we can see we have Lady Sylvanas there, and our Death Knight thing. And now our page is looking quite really, really good up to that point. And we still haven't done the footer yet, but we will. And if you want to get back out of there, just go back, push this little X, and you're back to where we need to be. Okay, so now that these images are loaded in, these background images, maybe we want to make it a little bit more colorful or a little bit more darker, depending on what you think you want to look at your website. So when we hover over this section, we can see, if we go back to our website out of this edit mode, we can see that these images have lost a little bit of their color. That's because there's an overlay over the front of it. And I think it looks really, really good because it's not distracting your customers with a bright image that may not work with whatever theme you're trying to do. I'm looking at the text, I still see the image and go, wow, that's a great image. But I'm also looking at going, okay, I'm looking at the content of our website. So if we go back over to here and we go to our background overlay, we can actually edit this in here. So if we just click on here, or we can use this scroll to put it back down, and we just scroll it all the way across. Maybe we don't like that. Maybe we don't like that. Maybe we just put it to 0. And we can see that the image is really, really bright now. To me, it doesn't look as good. So if we go back up to the top here and just put in 8, it looks a lot better. Or maybe you just want to put it back down to some setting. If we can scroll it down here, if we could just scroll up and down, since my mouse doesn't seem to want to cooperate with us today, it looks a lot better when it's darker. It's because I'm noticing the imaging too much now. So see, we can see this, the image is just too bright, and it distracts from the text. You want people to actually read the text, so we're going to put that back up to 8. But it's worth noting right now that that's how you do that. And just push update once you're happy. And again, these different sections here, so if we click onto this, if we want to go back out of this section, we go back to our background image, and we just click on here, and then hover back down, and we go back down to our background overlay again. We can see that that's 0.8, which is good for that background. Now, if we scroll back up the top here to Lady Sylvanas' section, and we go over to the same image, and we go to background overlay, we can see that that is 0.5. So it's a bit brighter, and then as the page goes down, it gets a bit darker, because honestly, there's going to be more text down here for you to read. Now, it's up to you what you personally want to do, but for me, I like the background images, but I also want to read your website. And this makes it very easy for me or a visitor to your website to actually read your text and take in the content. If it's too bright, no one's going to be able to read it. So that bit's done, and that's great. Now, what happens if we want to edit all these images? Excellent. I want to edit all of these images, okay? So I don't want to do that right now. And now obviously you can just hover over each image, and we can, choose the images up the top here and get rid of all those images. Choose it here or choose it here, or you can right click on it and we can delete or whatever. Let's not do that right now. Let's actually leave Elementor, scroll back out, view page, which we want to do. And once we're back here, we're going to scroll down to those images, because let's face it, these images and this size of image looks really, really, really good. Okay, now we're going to edit all these images. Now, we've shown you throughout this tutorial this little cheating section that we have here, which is inspect element. Now, these images have all been, sized accordingly. Their canvases are all matching. So we can go across these three images here, and we know they're all going to be roughly the same size. But if you're new to video editing and image editing, you may not understand the canvas sizes. Now, all these images are exactly the same. So if we want to know what our template, our starter template actual image actually is, all we have to do is right click the image, go down to inspect element, and we can see it brought up right here. Now, do you see this highlighted text? This is our image right here. So we can see that the width is 380 and the height is 520. So obviously, if we had pictures, we would want to go and edit all those pictures with the same exact width and height and dimensions that that picture already has here. All these images, and if we inspect this one, are all exactly the same. And then if we inspect this one again, they're all exactly the same. They're all exactly the same. 380 by 520. It's just really easy to do. And to get back out of there, we just push this little X button. This is in Internet Explorer or whatever it is, Edge, Google Chrome, and also Firefox. Almost all explorers will have some sort of inspector element. And so that's what I suggest you do. If you want to resize your canvas, you can go and get Photoshop, which we've already shown you, and just open up a new tab, open up Photoshop, push new and new canvas, and then enter in those dimensions. Or you can go to Photopea that we showed you earlier, the website, because that's free as well, and we can edit it in there as well. But for right now, we've already done that. And I own some of the older kind of Photoshops and kind of software like that. So there's no point showing you something that's 10 years old when there's a 2020 version. We're not going to go back to 2010 to show you something 2020, but that's how you do them. You will need some sort of photo editing software that does that. So we'll just click back on here and go up to Elementor, and we'll edit these three pictures here. Okay, so we wait for Elementor to load again, and we scroll down to this section. This section is very easy. We just click on this. We know this is all here. We can click on this image and we can go to style. And then we can see, if you just click on each image, it'll rotate through whichever one you're clicking on. And then we can just go, guess what? I want to edit. Okay, let's choose a new image. We want to get rid of these images because I don't think, but we need to import some images. So what was it again? I think it was 520. Okay, so I've done some of these ones preemptively, and I know that there's these three images are all 520, so they're all for my homepage. So let's just go click one and then click shift and hold the mouse button, and we can select the three images we want to. Okay, so they're all for our homepage. So I can import all those images in there, and they'll take a couple seconds to load up like before. And now we're just going to add these images in to each one. I don't know which one looks best. Maybe we'll try this image first. I'll insert this image into here. It looks kind of good. It's a little bit thingo, but it's got the dimensions of the 520. Now, if we go into this one, we'll just click on that image, choose image, and then maybe we'll go with this person here from StarCraft2. And then you see it's kept the exact same template style. All the images are matching. You don't want to get an image that you haven't refreshed or haven't changed the canvas size of and just dump a whole bunch of images in here, because they just won't keep the thing. So again, we choose our image, and then we can just use this, and they're all the same dimensions. So there we go. And now they're all updated. So now when we push apply, we can actually go and preview the changes. Let's see if we can do that. As soon as that loads, and there we go, it's loaded up. We can preview those changes. Everything looks really, really nice, and I can see that everything's matching. So now that looks really, really good. Please make sure you go to the extra effort of actually resizing your images once you get them. And remember, all we have to do now is push update down on our little Elementor thing, and we have the pictures. Now everything's good. We use that inspector tool to make sure that everything looks exactly normal. And then when we scroll down, everything fits. So you might have images for whatever your thing. We're doing a gaming theme, so you might have a baking theme, so you might have bread there, you might have whatever else there, and it's really easy to do. Excellent. So that's another thing that we wanted to show you. And now that you can do that, it's all done. Now we can do some other things and edit the picture however we want to. Now, if we wanted to add a box shadow there, we can simply go down onto our Elementor bar here, click this, add a box shadow if you wanted to. Me personally, I don't want to do that. We can go over to advanced and we can go down and change all of these settings if we want to. I always tell you, once it's saved and it's published once, you can go back and fiddle with some of these sections and then go and have a look at what looks good for you or what looks good responsive, and you can always take them back out. Just have a writing pad next to you and note down what you're changing and what the attribute actually has before you start to edit. So right here we can go down to motion blur, for instance, and we can put in fade in. So when it loads in, it'll fade in. I don't really like the look of that. Or you can fade down. I wouldn't really recommend that. Looks a bit weird. Or fade in from the left. When someone scrolls down there, it just gives them a little bit of, I guess, eye candy, and it draws people's attention to something that's moving. Or fade in left, or fade in right. Yeah, I don't know. If that's what you want to do, or maybe we can even have a zooming thing. Let's see, zoom in. Oh, yeah, there's heaps of boxes that you can do this thing. Slide down. It looks a bit tacky. So maybe just go none. None for me, but for you, you might really want to do this. So what happens if we want to link something with this page? Maybe we have that bread theme going and we want to link to a baking recipe on another website or another page. You can put a little link in here. You can go back up to contents. You can put in go to link down here, and you can put in a custom URL and it will link to an area that you want to go to. There's nothing too hard about that. I don't know if we really need to do anything like that, but maybe we'll give it a try. Let's just see. Let's just go and grab our services URL. Let's go and see this. We'll grab this and we'll just copy that across and we'll put this into our link here. We'll Control V and we'll update it. And as soon as that loads up, let's just go preview changes. And let's see if this actually works. So we scroll all the way back down here, and now we've got a clickable little link that goes all the way over to our services. And that's a great way to do things. It takes a little bit of time, but again, there's nothing hard or wrong with that. You can have it linked to anything. You can even have a media file on there if you really want to. Maybe this can be a call to action bar as well to your another website if you own another one, or your social media. That's fine. Or just to another web page, or to an external web page as well that you don't actually control but you may have affiliation with. So that's all you need to really know. Again, just go back to Elementor. Before you save anything, just play with the styles, play with the advanced features, go through different things, but always just write down before you touch anything and just put none. If you get into trouble and you don't know what to do, again, we can go back through history and we can scroll through all these things and just click on them and it'll scroll back to a different point in time. Or if you get really screwed up and you don't know what to do, just push refresh without saving the page and then nothing will be saved. Okay, at this point in the tutorial, we should know how to edit and add pictures and backgrounds by now. We've done it once, and we'll do it again for another bit of the website section in a second, but I just wanted to show you this bulk action because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time editing just pictures because it's pretty simple. Once you've seen it done once, you can do it again. But what happens if I wanted to bring in a whole bunch of bulk images or video files all in one go? Well, that's quite simple to do. We go over to our dashboard, we click under our username, we go to dashboard, and then we go into media and then we add new. And then from this menu, we can just simply go into a file. If we have a file such as this one, we can select which images we want and we can just drag them over and drop them straight into here, which I'm going to go and do now. And we're going to speed through this process. Okay, so as we can see just down here, we've added a couple of images and they've just dropped in here. And once you I'll show you how simple it is. We'll just do it on one image here because sometimes it can take a little bit of time depending on what your upload speed. So we'll just grab this and see it's highlighted over the blue where it's our little drop box in here. You can see that over those little lines there. I'll just do it one more time. Boom. Then you know it's ready to think. Just release your mouse and you can see it loading in the background here. So you can do this for bulk images and it makes it a lot easier when you want to put in a whole bunch of video files or a whole bunch of images in one condensed thing. Now I'm going to go back and we're going to repopulate some of these other service pages and projects page and about me page so that we have something to work with. And then we're going to move on to another section of editing. Okay, so we've scrolled over to our projects page and we're going to show you how to do these images one last time before we move on in the tutorial. So if we wanted to edit these images and they're all pretty much roughly the same size, all we have to really do is inspect the element. If you really like this template, this starter template that they've given us to edit through, we just inspect the element again. And we've done this before in the tutorial, but we'll see that the width of the image is 590 and the height is 400. So we want to go and edit that in Photoshop or Photopea. Whatever you want to do, you just need to edit the canvas size. So we've shown you that how to do this. We've explained how to do this. So now all we need to go and do is, now that we know the size of those images, is edit with Elementor. So we'll go up to the top of this and we're going to go and do that now. And once that loads, we're going to go and edit all these images quickly so that we can move on. So again, we're just going to choose the image that we think might look best here. So we've got all these images, and it's really helpful when you're doing these images if you actually name them. So here we go. I know this one's 590 because it's a height. I've already done it in Photoshop. Boom, insert media. That one will be done. Cool, looks great. It's kept the width and everything that I want to. Again, we just click on the next image that we want to image and edit. We'll get rid of this one. Okay, what's the next one? Okay, let's go with Voss. We'll grab him. 590. Everything is looking really, really good. And now we're going to edit this image as well. Boom. And it would have been helpful if I remembered which ones were which, but we'll just grab this one. It's 590 and by the 400 pixels. And then again, and these images you can just grab as large a file size as you want. I think these images were originally way over 1080p, but I just scaled them back down, and that's all we really need to do with this. And then which images do we like here? Yeah, that one will do. Doesn't matter if we've already used it. Boom, and update, and that'll save it. And now that's live on our Ching. And now to go and do the image at the top again, we can simply just click at the top here, style. Boom, we see our picture. We'll grab that, and maybe we'll keep it for prosperity's sake. We'll keep the same image as Sylvanas as we always had. And we'll just go like this, a little bit of continuity. And we'll just insert that image. And that looks really, really good. So I'm really, really happy with that page. Boom. I'm going to go ahead and do this for the other two pages now that we know how to do this. And we've already shown you how to do, the background overlay. And if you wanted to scale that back down to a different area, if you don't want that as black, that picture, you can do that. And we're going to kind of move on from this section because I'm pretty sure that most people by now get the idea of how to put in images. It's very, very simple. There's lots of different little styles that you can play with and advanced little features. If you click over something and you want to edit more, you can. And you can put on different little things, and you can adjust the height and width and all those sort of things, and box radiuses, and do more things in advance and put on motion blurs. And we've already shown you how to do most of that. So there's no point wasting too much more time with this. I'm just going to edit, and then I'll show you the last bit of the examples of the images. Okay, so I've gone and populated all these pages with some images, except for these two down here, which we'll get to in a minute. I'm going to put a video across the top of them and then delete them. I'm just using them as a reference point. But what happens if we wanted to change an image style a little bit? Well, we just click on this box up the top, this edit section. It pops up about edit section panel, so we know what we're editing. Then if we go down to style, we can see just underneath our background image here, there's a lot of different things we can do. We can move it to center left, so we get a slightly different angle, center right if we wanted to do that. Or we can put it on no repeat, 8 repeat, all these different little things. And I suggest just playing around with some of these things. And also we can just put it to auto if we wanted to zoom in. And each one, depending on what the picture is, have a different effect. That's pretty simple. But let's have a look at some of these different image things as well. Some of the things we haven't explained. Obviously, the upload files section is just files that you want to do. Media files are the media files that either come with the template that you're editing, which you can see all these type of images just down here, or coming with the actual starter template that we did. Or we can come over to this thing here for the free image that's from Pixabay. Now, all these images are free to use on your website, and you can just scroll through. There's literally probably millions, just a couple of thousand at least. So you can go and grab those things, and they look pretty nice. And I don't know what you want to do, but we can search for images. I don't know, cars. Let's just look up cars in case you're making a car website. I don't know if this will pop up with anything really significant, but it should have some car things. It's going to take some time. Okay, good. We've got a BMW, I guess M3. I don't know what it is. M4. Okay, good. But it looks good, right? You can search for these free images and you can use them. We've got a Bugatti down here. Great. We've already done that. But now what does our website actually do? I just wanted to show you this before we move on from this section, because now we're going to get into a lot more editing, and we're going to add some videos, and then we're going to edit all our text and make it look even more outstanding than what it already does. So what does our website look right now? So if we go back to our home page, we can see this looks really, really good. Everything looks good. We haven't edited the text yet, and we haven't edited our footer yet, but that looks good. We've got our services page. Again, these two images, we're going to replace them in a second, so we're not worried too much of them. And then we go to our projects page. That looks really, really good. And now we go to our about section, and then we've got our counter and everything. I'm going to show you how to edit all that in a minute. And we go to our contacts page, and I've kind of just selected a different image of Sarah Carrigan from StarCraft 2, because let's face it, I don't know why this image just works, like our contact page, like the weapon just works. It looks like this picture was made for our website, and it looks really, really good. But that's pretty much all you have to do with your images. You can search for as many as you want, and there's heaps of websites that are there that have royalty-free images if that's what you want to do. Look, is someone going to come and contact you on your website for using an image? Well, it depends. If you're a high-end business, yes, they will. If you're just Joe Blob down the road, probably not. But it's worth mentioning just to make sure that we're not stepping on anyone else's toes. Honestly, I've been using this for a couple of years now, since 2012, and doing websites. I've never had anyone contact me. But again, gaming companies like this are probably not going to go and contact you, because you're not actually telling it that that's your brand. You're just grabbing these images to promote their content, and that's free. And most companies will be fine with that. But again, if you're doing another sort of business, maybe a baking business, and you go to XYZ website and you just copy and paste all their images from their main website, yes, they're going to be very annoyed at you. Don't do that. Find some of these free ones on Pixabay. And that should be it for images. Okay, so now that we've edited all the images that we really want to do, why don't we do something a little bit special that's really going to make your website pop, okay? Give it the fizzle that it deserves. So if we have a look up here at this background image, why it's a very nice background image, it's a very static image. Like, it looks good, but let's make it better. Let's put a video there instead, so that we can have a video maybe that you've uploaded onto YouTube and that you want to showcase. Now, it's very, very simple. So we'll just go back up to Elementor. We'll edit with Elementor. We'll go back and we'll edit almost the exact same thing that we did with the images. So we'll come up to the top here and we'll go, we want to really put this in here. So we'll click on this. So it brings up our edit. So once we're in our editing section, we just want to go to style. Now we can see our background type is set to classic, which is great, and it looks really, really good. But we don't really need to do gradient right now, but let's just scroll through these images. We can go to slideshow if we really want to, but for us, we're just going to grab a video for this section. Okay, so there's different options. So we can grab a video. Now, this is the interesting thing, okay? So we need to go and find a YouTube video. So that's what we want to do. So let's go and find a YouTube video that we really want to do. Right now, I've already searched for one, so I searched for Sarah Carrigan. And again, we have this StarCraft cinematography thing that someone's put in an aspect ratio of 16.9. You really want to have something that doesn't have white or, the black bars at the top or the bottom, because that's not going to look that good when it goes onto your website. So we just need to copy this address. So if we just click up on the top section here, copy this address, and then take it back to our main website, which is here, and we'll just put in a new link. I don't know if this one's no, it's just giving us an example link. There we go. And now we can see that this video is going to start to load in at the top here, which is great. It has no sound. Okay, so that's one of the big things. So don't put a whole bunch of music in here. It won't do that. But it looks really, really good. but now we need to go and set it and tell it what part of the video we actually want to do. So if we scroll back down here, everything is in seconds. So you have to know the video in seconds. So I know that I want to be at about 121 seconds for this video. So if we just go on here and just click on to this thing, we enter in 121 seconds, there we can see, boom, the episode's started there. And I know the end timer is about the exact same. So if we put in 1:53, I think that's when this clip that I want to show ends, and it looks pretty good. Like if we watch the whole clip here, it looks quite interesting. So I want to stress this while we're going through this, that why this looks really, really good. There are some issues with it. Okay. The number one issue is that if the video gets taken down from YouTube or wherever you get it from, and traditionally I think Elementor only allows YouTube at the moment, it's gone. It's just going to be a blank space there. So we can update that. So that's looking really nice. I'll just update that so it saves up on there, and it may take a little couple of seconds to upload. So what happens if the YouTube video gets taken down? On your website, because you may not check it every day, you're going to have just a blank space up here. So we have our fallback image. So if we go back down here and we choose this image, we can just choose another image from Pixabay if we want to, but we'll just go to our media library and we'll just grab Lady Sylvanas again. And we're just going to click on her and insert that media. Now, if for some reason, and we'll push update, if for some reason our video doesn't play or it's been taken down, now this image will show up instead. So there's no problem. So you're not going to have, always make sure you have a backup, but it does look really, really good. But there's an issue with it. I think for this video, it just looks too dark with the gradient overlay. So if we go and click on that and we just scroll that down to nothing, it looks a lot better because it's a video. It's supposed to be enjoyed. If you put the gradient back up, I just feel that it's too dark and it just gets too dark. So if we put that down there, it's just too dark. So we can just do this. Now, you can have it scrolling as we've already seen once we go back up into the background here. Obviously, we have the timers done, and we've just used this video because it's a great example of what can be done. You can have it as long as you want, but there are other issues apart from the video being taken down. Maybe the person shut their YouTube down or whatever. If you wanted to do this yourself, you could just have a YouTube channel, put this video on there, and say if it's not anything exciting, you could just delist the video. We can see that there's a little problem with that every time we go through. There's a pop-up that pops up there. So I'll just drop that down to 152 and see if we can fix that little pop-up that's coming up on YouTube. But the thing is yes, you can delist your video on YouTube, just put it up there, and then no one will be able to search for it anyway, and you can have that running all the time. Say if it's, I don't know, a nature park or something that you want to showcase, and maybe it can go for, I guess, as long as it wants to, as long as it's showing something interesting sort of content, that's up to you. But the other issue that no one's really going to expect, and if we go back to our main website here, is that, and I'm going to tell you this honestly right now, once we click onto this service and it runs through quite nicely, the big problem is that not everyone around the world has very fast internet connection. Okay, so on different internet connections, this is going to be quite slow because it's picking a very high quality thing. So you can have a lot of problems. Like if you're in America, you have no problems. Okay, you got pretty fast internet. You're in Europe, you have very fast internet. If you're in Australia, some people may have fast internet, some people may have very slow internet. So that's one consideration to put up to. Just because in your country you have really fast internet, other people in other countries may not have fast internet. So this can really slow down their viewing experience of your website. So much so that if it gets too slow, they may click over it. And there are always going to be a whole bunch of issues with that. And what did I do? Did I just click on the wrong button? I think I did actually. I don't know what I clicked on, but I went to come back here. But there's always going to be issues no matter what you do. And even I click on the wrong button from time to time. So let's do another section that we didn't want to use. But there's also other issues other than the obvious that not everyone has the fast internet connection. Now, does this video background detract from what you're actually trying to sell? It may or may not, but usually you're tied into your theme. It looks very nice. And we've gone over the obvious issue that not everyone has the fastest internet world, especially if they're going from mobiles to phones to tablets and everything like that. Don't expect everyone just to have 150 megabits up and 150 megabits down. It just doesn't happen. Also, another issue that we have is if we check our responsive mode. Let's scroll back up here. On our tablet, see, it looks a little bit different. It's very bulky. And then on our mobile as well, it looks a little bit bulkier. We can adjust those sizes and everything, but as you go down and edit, but you have to look at the experience from each different perspective of each different person and each different device. So it's up to you. I think it looks really, really cool, especially on desktop, but there can be honestly a lot of problems with it. And it's up to you to figure out as a person, does this fit what my website is trying to promote? And if it does, select it. If not, don't use it. But for me, I think it looks really, really good. Really good. Okay, so in this tutorial, we've shown you a lot of things. We've showed you how to add pictures, we've showed you how to do backgrounds, radiance, all that kind of cool stuff, and how to do a lot. But we haven't shown you everything. We even showed you how to do a video background, which is great. Whether you want it or not is up to you. So we've gone back to our test page that we started a little while ago, and we're going to delete this page at the end so we can have a play around with it, because we don't want to stuff around with the main template that we're doing, because honestly, I just want to publish that at the end of the day and just leave that there as an exemplar if someone wants to go to that website and they can see, yes, it's still active after they've watched this video. Now, if we scroll down here, we can remember our template page. We just made it and duplicated it, and we brought in these training rates earlier on in the video from another website. So what happens if we just wanted to add another section in? So we just wanted to add a new section. Okay, we can go and do that. So let's add a new section. It's very simple. Now, when we go across here, as we can see here, we've got these columns. So this one here, this section here, has got 3 columns. This one here has got, 2 little pairs here. So you can have this. So you can go over here. Elementor makes it very simple. So you can go, okay, I just want 1 column. So we can have just 1 whole section. Or I can have, I don't know, 3 sections. So if I wanted to have it like this, we can have 3 sections. All we have to do is we'll just click on the 3 sections for now. Boom. It's added in 3 sections. So if we hover over that, we can see that we can edit that area, and we can maybe add in a text editor. So I can just drop that in there, and it'll drop in some exemplar text for you to do. And then if I don't want to, maybe we'll just hover over this section again. I'll just click on this one, and maybe we'll put in a text editor on this side. Great. Okay, and now I'll click on the middle section, and I'll go, maybe I just want to add an image. Great. And it will put in, or it'll try to put in an image, and that you can, but you can see what it's trying to do. So maybe we'll just choose this. We'll pick a little image really, really quick. We'll go to our media library. It's a little bit slow today for whatever reason, and it's taking a little bit of time, but that's how we really add in all these different features. Now, why that's taking a little bit of time, we'll just ignore that for a second. What happens now if I'm really happy with some of these things? Like, I've got this image here and I can edit this text here, and that looks really good. But what happens if I don't want to start from scratch from what we just did then and added in those little bits? Well, we don't have to. You can simply hover over something that you really want to. Let's go up the top here. Let's make it kind of interesting. I want to have this big image divider here. I can do that. I can just click on that, the little blue thing, and it pops up to the edit section, and I can just right click on those little squares and duplicate, and see it's duplicated. So it's duplicated the same image, but you get the point. But now I don't really like having a picture with a picture. I think it looks a bit tacky. So we can just grab that and we can just drag that section down, and we can just scroll all the way down to the bottom of our page, maybe to where we want it, maybe just to wherever the blue is, maybe just underneath here, and then we've got our picture. Excellent. And we can do this with anything, and all we just have to do is click on this. So, for instance, maybe I just want that section, but maybe we just want the whole section because it's white. It's got a white background. We want that. So I can just right click on that again, duplicate. Once that's duplicated, I grab it and I click on it, and then I just drag it down. And so I want it below this image here, and I just wait for the little blue text to pop up here. And if it ever does show up, just look for it. It pops up in random places that you don't really expect. But once we see that blue, we just drop it in there, and boom. Now that's looking really good. We'll just update that. We'll save this because this is our test page. And that's how to put in new sections if you ever wanted to worry on how to duplicate sections if we don't need to start from scratch, and we don't need to, we've just updated that section. And if you really don't want to start from the beginning again, then we can just add in sections again by coming in here and looking at free and selecting a page and grabbing whatever we want from that page, whether it's a pricing index, a layout, whatever. But we can see now we've learned how to add a new section, how to add in columns that are all split up here depending on which your preference for your website is. I quite like the 3 myself. Well, and we can add in as many sections as we want. And now we can duplicate. So now we've taught you all the basics of how to do that on a test page that we'll probably delete. I guarantee we'll never have this put in here. But now we all learned from the beginning how to do this duplication process. It's so simple. Elementor just makes it so much simpler. This could take you hours to do by yourself, but now you just saved yourself maybe an hour or 2 hours, and you don't even have to come in here and think about it. It's done. All you have to do is change the images in the text now. How simple is that? Why would you pay anyone to do this for you? Okay, so the one thing that we haven't actually touched on yet is our footer. Now we've referenced it when we were editing through with Elementor that we can't edit it from that section right here. It's because when we went to scroll down to it, we can't edit this section. It's actually hidden away in another area. So we want to change this background picture again, and we want to change this text and maybe add some social media links just down here so that people can find us. And again, we can change all of these contact details. I don't know whose contact details these are, whatever come with the template. Who knows? But I guess they don't actually work, but you know what it is. Okay, so let's do that now. So if we come up to Grim Firefly, or your username for your WordPress website, we go to Dashboard. That's where we want to go first. And once that loads, which does take some time sometimes, we'll go down to the little section called Appearances. Now, when we hover over Appearances, we can see that we have a whole bunch of things, themes, budget, menus, whatever. All we need to do is go down to headers and footers. That's what we want to do, headers, footers, and blocks. And once we get to here, we can see that we have a site footer already there. And all we really want to do is just hover over our site footer, as you can see here when the text pops up, and edit with Elementor. This is the only way to actually scroll down here. There may be other ways to get here. As always, there's multiple different ways to get to the section, but this is our subsection here. So exactly, we have the whole thing. We can delete it if we want to. We can select it and edit it from the top here. We can get rid of this image that we don't need anymore. So let's have a look at that now. We'll just add in, oh, I don't know, this World of Warcraft image here. We're just going to edit that one in. And once that loads it, it looks quite good in here. Fine, that's good. I'm just going to update that section. And now that image is gone. So we've updated that image, so we no longer have that background anymore. And again, we can add in a gradient, more gradients, or video overlay, whatever. We're just going to keep it classic for now because it looks the best. Remember, it's probably not a good idea to add a video behind here because this is a text that you really want people to see. Like this is maybe got your social media links, all these sort of things. So when we want to have a look at this other section here and we want to edit this little section, we can just hover over it and click on it. And we can see that this has got a layout of icons here. So if we hover over this and we just go down here, we can see that it says study nature. Great. We don't really want it to say nature, so maybe we'll just put in here Twitter, for instance. Okay, so we have Twitter, and we can already see that they might want to put in an icon. I don't really have any icons for that I want to put in here, but we can put an icon in here if we really want to. And this is going to be a little emblem next to it. We don't need to do that right now, but you can if you wanted to. And we can see that there's a link down here. So let's try and link our Twitter here. We actually haven't used our Twitter in a long time. Okay, or actually ever. I have no idea. I only use it to just browse things. I don't usually post things here. It may change now that I'm doing YouTube videos again, whatever, and playing on Twitch with World of Warcraft. But let's just get on with this straight off the bat. So if we come over here and we just drop our link down here and we just hit apply, hopefully once we go back to live, that'll come up with a little link and we can do. And we can see that it's come up with a link and it looks really nice. So once we hover over it, we know there's a link there. Okay, let's just do one more, okay? Let's just go down to, I don't know, we'll get rid of that Twitter one. Which is, if you want to add thing, I'll just push this little button on the side here, plus or minus thing. Maybe Nature's Gift is the next one. Nature is a gift. Okay, let's just get rid of that one. Let's put in our Twitch, for instance. Oops. Twitch. Okay, we can scroll back over to our Twitch, wherever it is. We can grab our file right here, or our address bar. We can just grab that. And now we can go back to our website and we can just copy and paste it in our little link thing. Again, you can add whatever you want to add into here. A little icon again. You can go and get a Twitch icon if you want, or a Twitter icon. I'm pretty sure it's pretty self-explanatory how to do that. And the last one we'll grab here is maybe we'll just work on a second spring, whatever that means. We'll just might put this onto our YouTube. Okay, so we've got that and it looks really, really nice. Okay, so we'll grab our YouTube as well. That way it shows you everything that we have to. And as you can see, we haven't uploaded to YouTube in 6 or 7 years, or maybe even more. I haven't really added. It's probably been closer to 7 or 8 years. It's been a while. So if we go back to our website, again, we'll just drop that link in there, which is Control V, and we'll just update that link because it's on YouTube. And that whole page is updated now. And those links should work when we go to preview. All right, so what happens if we want to get our contacts? Okay, we can do that. We can see all of our contacts in here. We don't have a phone number right now, so we can go back down here and we can just, delete that. I don't know whose phone number that is. It's whatever comes with Tor. It probably doesn't even lead to anywhere. It's an American thing anyway, I guess. We're just going to put N/A. Not acceptable at the moment. Okay, that might change in the time. If you have a storefront, you might put in your storefront video or whatever it is, phone number, and then you might have a mobile, whatever service you have. Maybe your personal trainer, you might have your mobile number down there, business thing. Your address, again, we can change our address just by going up the top here and getting rid of that. And you can see they have already little emblems in there. And it looks really stylish. So we can just click on this and we can just say, I don't know, maybe we'll just say we're from Sydney, Australia. Nothing too hard about that. And we can just go update. And we can just leave our contact for the moment for our email. Once we click back out of there, we can just leave that at the second because we don't need the thing. And we can see this is the little emblem that you got here. So over here, when we were back over here, if you want to put in an emblem, I'm sure you can find some free ones here. So you can put in the emblem of Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram if you have that. I don't know what other social platforms are. Facebook, I don't know. And I'm sure you can find those images. You might be even able to find them in the thing. But that's good. Now we can click on this text and we can change that if we want to, or we can click over here and about our section and we can change that as well. And our copyright as well, we can click down here, we can change all of our copyright and we can check powered by Grim Firefly. Usually I just leave that there because that's fine. Okay, I'm just going to copy some text over here so that I can show you how to actually edit this section. So it doesn't really matter. We could just go in here, copy this into here, or we can copy it over into our edit text editor here. You can do it in either section. And as you can see here, we can highlight things at the top here or underhide things, index things, put in all different types of things. It doesn't really matter what you want to do. We can change it around. We can add styles. We can do different things. You know what it is. We've all used this before. It's not that hard. We can just exit out of there. Or you can drop it straight into here. Or you can go into your text editor and drop it in there as well. We'll just go into our visual representation for the moment. And we're just going to drop in this. Entertainer, live broadcaster, gamer, guide creator. Excellent. Looks pretty good. I think it looks good anyway. Let's see what it looks like. We can even take out, maybe we could take out that. I don't know if you want to really have that in there. It looks a little bit better without the indentation. Look, it looks good. Okay, what happens if we wanted to make it look even better? Maybe we can go over to style, typography. Okay, let's see, what can we do? Okay, we can change the family. So we can change the font. So maybe it's just set to default. Maybe we want, I don't know, what's a good looking font these days? Pre-Burkest, I don't know how they even pronounce that. I don't even see what this is. A Clonica? Wow, that looks pretty good, but doesn't really fit our theme. But it looks good, maybe more for a logo than anything. Yeah, I would probably just keep it to default. But there we can do that. We can transform it. We can change whatever we want to add in now. And maybe we can adjust the size a little bit. So we want it really, really big, which we don't. We can have it really, really small. It's up to you what size you really want to do. I personally wouldn't have it probably any bigger than your normal size, probably around that size. 12 to 14 is probably great, but it looks really, really good. And that's how you change all this. And what I would suggest when you're editing these sections is have like a Microsoft Word, something kind of document open. And you can see how I've got these little spaces everywhere, and I've got just pages. So it says page footer on here. It's a lot easier when you're actually highlighting it. So you don't actually have to do anything. If you just check your spelling and grammar, use Grammarly, whatever. But we can just go through here and you can see it says footer page. I know I can just copy and paste and drag these things along, and it's not going to do us any damage. So if I just want to click on this section, we can just click on here or click on there, and I'm just going to go, you know what, I don't need this section. I'm just going to put in our thing, and I'm just going to put update. That looks pretty good. And then the last little thing I'll edit just here is this contact for business. Okay, I'll just grab that. There's no different. I'll just copy and paste it across. And that's what I suggest people do, is just take the time to actually make a Word file or a document that's got everything, and you can just simply copy and paste and label it. It makes things a lot easier. Now that's looking pretty good, don't you think? I think it does. Okay, now that I've shown you pretty much all of this, we'll just go back to styles up here. We'll just make sure we're selected this one, and we'll just look at text color, and we can just pretty much drag and drop whatever we want. We can have primary colors, or we can go to our swatches here, which is where we can select something. So we can have it red. I don't think that looks really nice at all. Maybe you want a nice green color. Again, we can do that. I don't think that looks very nice at all. I'm just going to keep it white because it works with our theme. Or we can, so that's our customized paint dropper right there. Or we can just go to custom, and it pretty much just has text on there. And you can go through global color settings, which is pretty good. But just remember when you're clicking these things and where you might really want to color that thing of white and black are usually the first ones that people are going to do. If you do bright colors, some people might not be able to see them. So we're just going to keep it white for this time then. And we're just going to accept those updates because we're only just changing this. So let's go back out of our page here. Let's go to view page, and let's see if this footer actually works. So this is the bottom of our footer, and we can see, let's open up some links here. I'm just going to open up, and it goes to Twitter. Excellent. So I've got 0 tweets. Good, it works. Okay, let's go to Twitch. Let's see if our Twitch opens up. It goes to our home page. Excellent. Cool. We've got our Twitch page going up there. And then if we want to go back to our YouTube page, again, every link works, and that's all we need to do. And now we can edit our contacts if we want to. And again, just edit your email of choice. I personally wouldn't be putting in too much contact information on my form or out my kind of a website unless I, had a PO box. That's up to you. Or an actual physical store address that's not your personal address where you live. And just remember, don't give out phone numbers and stuff like that unless you need to for business. It's very easy. And don't give out your personal email. Always make another email. Most internet service providers will give you multiple emails for free. Sign up and ask them to make you a business email for something else. So you might have, I don't know, contact at Jim's jogging trainers, something like that, other than, Jim's, whatever Jim's name is, which is Jimmy Jim's. All right, that's his personal email address. You don't want that because you don't know who's contacting you. All right, try and keep it safe on here. But now if we go back to our dashboard here, that's what I'm going to go back down to, and then I'm going to go visit site, which I want to do. We can see now that our website is looking really, really good. Okay, now our about page or the footer page is looking a lot better than what it used to. You can still stylize that a bit more. We've just got a selected image in there, and we're just doing this for the tutorial. This is Dingo, and we've got our links that look really, really good. And again, we can put our little emblems in there if we wanted to, and I showed you how to do that. We just don't have any at the moment for Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube. Now, another important thing that you guys might not have seen once we loaded back into the site, which I knew was going to happen, is that since we took out that bottom picture here that had a problem with it, look at the top of our website now at GrimFireFireGG. You see that little lock? Our SSL has been accepted. We have no context or mixed content problems anymore. Issues, mixed content issues, what I'm trying to search for here. We don't have any more problems with that because we've taken out all of those images that we used in the template before, and now our little site is locked. That is our SSL thing. This is so important, and we've talked about this, and we'll talk about this again at the end of the video. When I come to a website, I really need to see this connection is secure. I don't want to see mixed content issues or not secured issues for thing. Make sure you have your SSL certificate. Now we fixed all this up. Now we're going to start to edit most of these sections, and we're going to go back up here shortly and edit this navigation bar, and we're going to change these names around. Okay, so in the last section we went through some of the basic functions of editing, especially with text and duplicating different areas and dropping, dragging new sections. I suggest if you didn't see that section to go back and replay that. And we'll look at this right now. We'll look at the home page, for instance. We're going to change, obviously this is our natural park, as we don't need this anymore. We're going to change all this text here and repopulate this web page just so that everyone can see an example of what we're going to be changing. So let's go up the top here and click with Edit with Elementor. And once that goes there, we're going to look through some of the different sections that we can edit just a little bit more detail than what we previously looked at. So if we cover over something like Welcome to, we can see this little gray out little bar here is a column. So let's click on our column. So with the column here, we can set out the layout, a little bit of things like that. In the middle style at the top here, we can see that this obviously it's set for style. So if we wanted to change the text color, we can do that. If we wanted to change, I don't know, the font size and to different fonts, we can do all that if we click on that. And we can see that we can do that. So obviously we're just hovering over a background now, so there's not much to change. And then if we want to go to advanced, we can add in motion graphics and stuff of that nature if you want to. Just remember with motion graphics, some of it looks a little bit cheesy. It's up to you if you want to add it, and you can see all those motion effects down there. Try it out. If you don't think it looks professional, then don't use it. So if we just hover over the welcome section here, we can see that our contents bit is pretty much just our text, which is great. We want to keep that welcome to. Great. Our style, we can go over to text and we can edit our text if we want to. So we've got our little swatches here. Just remember, on most websites, the text will be either black on a white or a background, or white on a darker background. That's pretty much the stock standard thing. And when we push things or we take swatches over there, just remember, not everyone can see red, green, blue in very, very bright colors. Some people are colorblind. It's up to you to figure out what you want to do. I think white looks absolutely really, really good. So we're going to keep that. We'll go down to the next section since we're not going to touch that welcome to because it looks big enough. We'll go down here to Sierra Natural Park. Let's put in our website thing, the Grim Firefly. All right, we're just going to put into that right now. Now, do we really need to change anything? No, because I think that's big enough. Maybe it's a bit plain. Let's look at it. The text is a little bit plain. Typography, let's go to typography. Let's look at, I don't know, it's family, okay? Its family is pretty much what font that you want to do. So we can go to Arial, it looks a little bit different. Now, if you ever get in trouble, just push default and go back straight to where you were. Now let's look at Toma. I don't know, does that look really, really nice? Let's see if there's something in here that looks kind of weird. Okay, this kind of weird looking text. It doesn't look that good. It kind of made it look a little bit bulky. And let's just scroll through here. What have we got here? It's got hundreds of text in here. That looks kind of interesting, I guess. Just for argument's sake, let's just do this ultra. Ooh, maybe not do ultra. Maybe not do ultra. I don't like the look of that. That kind of looks cool, but again, we can't even read our logo. So maybe I don't know what's this text. Yeah, there's some very strange text in here, but you have to be a little bit more cautious when you're adding this in. Some of it looks good, or what you think looks good, maybe it's not that good when you actually click on it and look at it for the first time. And for me, I think we'd just leave that on default. Because quite frankly, a lot of those texts look quite bad. But it looks good. That's how we're going to do it. Our first section's already done. Now, when we scroll down a little bit over here, I'm going to keep that little icon there, and I'm going to come back to this section in a later stage, and we're going to edit that button. I'm going to show you how to use an anchor point to have your things. So when we come onto our website, this is what the section we're going to see. Maybe we want to scroll down to this section, or maybe we want it to scroll down to this section. And if you look in the timestamps on the bottom of our YouTube video, which is, in the description section, you'll see that. And if you want to see how that's done, we'll show you a little bit later. And it's a very cool function to have. But right now, we're just going to go for this text. Now, let's click on this column again. And let's click on our text bit of this, about us. Let's keep that. Now, what I suggest you do when we're editing is to actually have a Word file of what you want to edit. Now, this is my Word file, so I just put it as homepage. I have it in sections. So section 1 is obviously where the title is, and I wanted to put it in group 5. About us. We've kind of kept the one touch of nature makes the whole world a kind of place. Okay. We're going to skip over that Twitch code at the moment. You don't need that if we're not doing Twitch. And we'll just simply grab this, and I'm just going to copy and paste it across. That's the easiest way to do it. All right. And then we can just simply go down to that section. We can click on there if we want to, or we can just go or click into our text editor, and we can just simply drop this in here. Now, it really doesn't matter how you do this. It's up to you. It looks really, really good just dropping it here. It's very much like Word. Just try it around. I'm going to populate all this stuff, and maybe we'll come back and we'll edit some of these things. It just seems a little silly to show everyone how to copy and paste, because we should know that by now. Okay, so say if we wanted to edit this section here, and I know that there's going to be a problem if we do this. Say if we just hover over this and we just pretty much highlight that text, and we just push Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac. If we just want to copy text from our Word. Okay, let's do that. Look, it's changed to the style, and we can see it's brought on this gobbledygook code from Word. So we can see it's put it into its own paragraph, and we don't want any of this. So we've just done that in this section. We don't want any of that. We could just go Control Z or Command V or Command Z, sorry, to go back in history and get rid of that section that we just typed in there. So that's our undo feature. But what happens if we come up the top here to the left hand section, the Elementor section? We just do the exact same thing. Let's just copy and paste it in here. So let's just go over there. I'll just do it this way. Boom. We're not bringing all of that code in. So if you're ever in doubt and you don't want to bring in code from wherever you're copying text from, so you're copying titles from everywhere, just go into the left hand panel of the Elementor thing and copy your text into this panel here, instead of going into here and editing these things, because it may sometimes just copy over. I always edit in this panel over into the left of Elementor, because you have more style in progress. So this is all set out. So if you hover over this, we can see that in this section it's telling me this HTML tag is saying this is a heading. Okay, this is heading number 2. This is just text. This is a heading. Excellent. We understand all that now. It's very much like you would in Word. When we go down to this section here, now that we've populated some of this stuff here, let's say we have this follow thing here. So it's telling us to follow. If we click on the button, even though we've run through this before, we can see how we edit buttons. If we don't want that button there, obviously we can delete it. We can change the text of the button from learn more to anything that you want. So you can just click on this thing. Our link going out, so we can link this from to another website if we wanted to, say YouTube, and we've already done that once before and we've shown you that. We can also change the style, the typography, the text in there, the color of the text, the color of the button, and even if we went over to advanced, we can change the motion graphics on there if we really wanted to. It's up to you. So we're going to move on from this section here and show you some other cool features that we can do. Okay, so we're back at our home page now. And let's look at this thing. I want to change these pictures around, but I don't want to delete and update them again. Okay, so how can I do this if I don't like the way I've styled something and laid something else? Say if I want this picture on the far right over here, I want it over in the far left column. Okay, all I need to do is hover over it, find that little edit column here. I click on that column, and I hold that click, and I just drag it to where I want it to be. So sometimes I take a little bit of thing, and we just drag it, and I drop it. Boom, that column's over there. Maybe I want this picture back over here. I just simply click on that little square at the top there that says column and hold it and drag. And now I'm over on this section as well. And it looks really, really nicely. And it's really, really easy to do. It's a nice little function that they put in here. And maybe I think, wow, that doesn't look that good. I can just simply click on it again and drag and drop, and click on this one and drag it back exactly where it was before. But it's an easy thing to show you. I thought it was worth mentioning at this point in time. For any styling thing that you can really think of, Elementor has already thought of a way to do it and made it pretty easy. Again, if you get into trouble, just don't save anything and you can start over or go back to your history function, which is down here, and just scroll back through. But that's the easiest way if you want to change pictures. And I thought it was mentioning in this section to actually show it to, because it does save you some time if you just want to change your styling around. Okay, so we've gone to a new page here and I want to update the title. So let's update the title. I don't want it to be about anymore. Maybe I want it to be YouTube. So we can simply just put that in and I'll put in YouTube. Now we're going to hit apply. Now, once this goes through this update, we're going to hit preview changes and we can see now that it's updated the title or the heading. Okay, but it hasn't actually updated the About Me section, our navigation bar up here. It still says About. Now, if we come out of here and we get rid of this gobbledygook that's here, we don't need this. Let's just go About up here. We'll just go and refresh that. That's just our preview code that Elementor and WordPress gives us. We don't actually need to see that, but we can see that the page is still saying About instead of YouTube, and our navigation bar up the top here is still saying About as well. So what do we want to do? We need to get rid of that stuff. So how do we do it? We come back out here to Elementor. So let's go to our section here. So if we come back to here, we can see that our title says YouTube, our heading says YouTube. Okay, so what if we want to change our navigation bar? We simply go down to here to settings, which is on the left-hand side of our bottom left-hand side of our Elementor. Okay, little widget. So we click on that little widget just down here. We click on that and we can go here and change that. So we don't want that anymore. We can just go YouTube and just put in our YouTube thing. And now we just push update. So that's our title. So boom. And when that rolls through there and saves, let's just see if that actually did save there. And if we go to refresh now, we can already say that that little widget has already updated. So we don't even have to refresh it. We can see on our navigation bar, it's gone to YouTube. But our About page still says, up here on the title, we still see it says About. So we can get rid of that. We can go there, that gobbledygook. We can still see that that just says About. There's nothing that we can change from this section. So I'm going to go and show you how to change that section now. Okay, so we've seen that we've updated our navigation bar. We've seen that we've updated at the top of our little bar up here. We can see this is the YouTube section of our website, but our navigation bar still says About. So how do we change this name here? Very, very simple. We go back up to our dashboard. So we'll hover over your username. We hit dashboard and then we'll travel over to the dashboard. We'll go to pages and just go into here and we'll have a look here. And then we'll go over to, where does it say, YouTube, okay? Let's just go to our YouTube. So it's updated our page, but it hasn't updated all the sections. So if we go to our little quick edit here, we don't need to go into anything. And we go to our slug, we can see that it still says About. So if we get rid of that little slug bit here and we just put in YouTube and we just go, there we go. And we just update from this section right now, and it may take a little bit of time, we can see that that section's thing. So if ever in doubt, just go to whatever the page that you've just changed it to. So we knew it was About, so it changed it to YouTube since we've only ever changed one page. And we can go to Quick Edit, and now we see that they're both saying YouTube. Now if we go to our, actually we'll go back this way. If we just push on Preview Changes again, and get out of that section all completely, this page doesn't exist. Now, don't worry too much. I did this for a reason to show you, because the slug hasn't updated just yet. So it takes a little bit of time. So if we go back to home here and we just wait a couple of seconds and we just give it a little bit of time to update, it will take us to our YouTube page, okay? So now we can see on our navigation bar, it's YouTube. Now, what I would say now is, since we're still in Elementor, is just to get rid of that, because see, this section still saying About. It just takes a little bit of time for it to update. We've already saved it and we can edit it again. I wouldn't actually go back into Elementor because I know a lot of people have a lot of pages open when they're editing. Just give it a couple of seconds to update and that page won't come up that says this page doesn't exist. It's just simply taking a little bit of time to change it. So now we've updated everything. We've updated the navigation bar. We've updated our heading for this title. We've updated the top section up here. And now we've updated our address bar as well so that we can say it's for YouTube. And now everything looks really, really good. Really, really simple, wasn't it? Just make sure to change the slug bit at the end. And now we can just cycle on through. Excellent. And now that we've waited a couple of seconds, we can simply click on that YouTube and it works. Everything works. We can go back to Elementor, open back up Elementor, and it will load the web page that we just edited the slug of the name of. And everything's working fine. So just give it a couple of seconds and it'll all load up properly. Okay, so since we're still on our YouTube section here, why don't we add a YouTube video? So if we're back on Elementor, maybe we just edit this text, for instance, just like I did, and we've just on the thing here, and I've updated these little things just to make sure it looks really, really nice. I'm really happy with the text. It's taken us 30 seconds to do. So how would we want to add a YouTube video onto this blank canvas right here? Okay, so how do we do that? Very, very simple. We go up the top here to our Elementor bar and we click on this little right-hand side, little square, little boxes up the top here. We're going to click on that. That's going to bring us to a new area. So what happens if we just wanted to add a YouTube video? Easy. We just click on what we want to do and we drag it over. Now, when we're actually placing things, we can see here, I want to put it in this column, which is fine. I don't want it above the YouTube guides. I want it just above here and I don't want it below. One like and favorite makes a lot of difference. It does, but let's just put it in front of this so that we kind of have a call to action beneath of it so we can see that. So all I'm doing is just grabbing it, looking for the blue section where I want to drop it, and I'm just dropping it there. Now we have to wait for it to load, and it may take a couple of seconds to load, and then we can go, I don't know, it's got a placeholder video on there that Elementor has provided. Let's just see if we can put in one of our old videos that we haven't seen in a million years. Okay, great. And it's updated it. Excellent. And that's all you have to do. It's just pretty much drag and drop. How simple is that? And actually have a, YouTube video address that you can just copy out of the section. So if you've got a whole bunch of YouTube videos, maybe just pick your best one. This is one I did, thinking a million years ago, then I'm going to put on private anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that's how easy it is. Just drag and drop your, go over here, drag and drop. Excellent. And then just push update and that section will look up here. We're going to go to preview in a second. We're going to see what it looks like. So we can preview the changes and let's go and do that now. And then we have our video that can play. Excellent. And now you can see, you can just simply play the video and it plays through it, whatever. That's all we needed to do. Excellent. It's so good, we can make it bigger. It does all the work for you. You don't even have to do it. All you need to do is be on YouTube and grab whatever video you want, and it's so simple to do. Now let's go down here and look at this counter here. I really like this counter. My eyes are really attracted to, because I'm a visual person, elements that do cool things. A little bit of, a little bit of automation goes a long way. So we're going to see how we actually edit this panel, and we're going to come back here and do that as well. Okay, so we're back with Elementor editing our YouTube section. So what happens if you wanted to edit that video a little bit more that we just dropped in here? Okay, so if we go back over here and we go over to that little pen symbol here, it'll take us to our YouTube setting for that video. So we can actually mute it if we don't want, when the video actually plays, we can get rid of that. We can auto play it as well if you want it to auto play when someone visits your website, so it'll just start playing, which you may or may not want to do, and that's kind of an interesting thing to do. Do you want that? Maybe if you get a high amount of volume to your your website, that might be great, but also it might annoy people, so maybe put it on mute. But also if you've got monetization on your YouTube channel, you can earn more ad revenue if you've got a popular blog, just having it autoplay instead of having it click on someone. But again, they may click off your website if an ad starts playing full bore and they have their speakers up. It's just something if you wanted to, and you can loop that video if you want to as well. There's heaps of different little things here, but for me, let's just keep it well, we might keep the mute on for this one, and then I'm just going to update it and update that section. Easy. Excellent. That's all you have to do with that section. I just thought it was worth mentioning while we're here, just some of the cool things that you can do with Elementor for just adding a YouTube video. And you don't have to actually just add a YouTube video. You can add any kind of stuff. So it's got Vimeo here, Daily Motion, and self-hosted video. So if you have like upload a video of yourself on your own servers, then you can do that. But, these are the big ones, and they're probably going to run a lot easier, stream it a lot easier. So you don't have to host a whole bunch of things. Okay, so we've edited all of that, and that looks really good. Let's just scroll down here, and we've got our cool little counter. So what happens if we just want to edit that counter? We can go over here, and we can just push that little blue pen again, and it'll take us to exactly where we want to do. Okay, so this counter looks really, really good. So maybe you can adjust where its starting number is. So we can put it to 0 to 150 or more if you wanted to. It's really up to you. So let's keep it at that. I just want it to go through once, so we'll keep it like that. And maybe we'll change the bottom title of the text down here so you can see it says satisfied clients. For us, maybe we just want to put in like, maybe we've had 150 million views on YouTube. Say you're a big channel, great. And then maybe over on the top here, we've done, I don't know, completed videos. So we'll just get rid of that text here, and we can do that. Very, very simple to update this Slug, this element, whatever you want to do. It's really, really cool. I really like it as a different little entity. It's really good. Visually, it's stunning. And maybe you've had 15 years experience on YouTube, or just put in your business thing. Maybe you've got 15 years experience as a pottery designer, and maybe you've sold 150 million pots. Great for you, and you've completed 250 million things. Just remember this little element, this little slug here is really, really cool. And we can just click over here if we don't want this, and we numbers speak for themselves, or some cool facts, and change that as well. Just make sure that you hover over this, boom, if you're ever in doubt, or here, and then you can just click on that little blue pencil and it'll take you exactly where you edit. So simple to edit this in. You don't even have to think of it. It's just there. And we'll just simply update that. And now when we go to preview the changes, when we go back to our, our YouTube section, we can just scroll down and we can see now that that says 150 million views. Excellent. That's all we needed to do. Okay, for this section of the video, this isn't for general WordPress builders, okay? This is just so we've picked the theme of Twitch and streaming, so this is just for us. If you don't want to do this section, if you don't need to do this section, you can just skip over this section. All we're going to be doing is where this text is currently playing World of Warcraft, we're going to change that, and we're going to embed a live stream from our Twitch channel just in this little section here. So it's only for us users who are using Twitch. And this is going to be very helpful for you guys, but it's not going to be very helpful if you're making a website, and you're making a business. Don't just skip through this section. Use one of the timestamps down below in the actual YouTube description section there just to skip over this. This is not for you guys that are doing that for business. This is just for streamers, and that's it. So if you're a streamer, what you want to go over and do is go and look up how to embed a video in Google for Twitch, and it'll come up with Twitch developers. Now they're going to have a whole bunch of codes like this example here of how to add in an iframe and how to put in a player for Twitch. The most important thing to really remember is if we're looking through this code here, it looks at this HTTPS player Twitch blah blah blah, right? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it does. Where the channel bit is, you just put your channel name, okay? Then you delete this section here where it says video, if you just want to put the live stream in there, and just put this parent stream, whatever. It's your website. This example.com is just your website or wherever you're posting it to. Please note that you do need an SSL certificate to actually put this on a website. There's no point creating a website and then going, I don't have an SSL certificate, because it's one of the prerequisites of actually having Twitch embedded onto your website or wherever you're embedding it, that they have an SSL certificate, which costs money. It's not free unless you get it through web hosting. So there's lots of different things, and I feel that you should go through your like some of the exemplars down here, they posted it all of how to actually set it all out if you want heights and borders and stuff like that, and with some example things. So if you just want, you know, a streaming thing, you can do that. If you want a video ID, you can do that, or you can add in a whole bunch of different things. For us, we're just going to be putting in how to edit the actual stream. So my code, when I go over to Word here, looks exactly like this. So this is what yours should look like, something like this. So obviously we have our wireframes thing, blah, 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 player Twitch, and then the channel is Grim Firefly. Our parent is our grimfireflygg.com because that's our website, and the rest is all left just exactly like you see this code. Okay, so how do we add this to our website? Very, very simply. All we want to do is scroll down to where we want it. So we already have a text box here, and that's what we'll need to create. So if you don't have a text box, we just drag and drop a text box over from WordPress Elementor to the section we want to, but we already have one here. So we'll just click on this, and we'll go to up into our Elementor section here. We'll go to text, and we're just going to delete that section right off the bat there. Now we're left with something nice. So let's just go and paste. Now we've pasted our code, and it looks a little bit gobbledygook, but as we can see here, now we've got this section. So we just push update. Okay, our little section has updated. And that's all. If this for some reason doesn't update straight off the bat here, what we need to do is just click on this section here and because we pasted it in our text editor here, and then we want to go to our visual representation and just make sure it loads. If you accidentally pasted your text into this visual thing, just save it and then click into this section here, because it'll just come up googly-gook here like the code, and then all you have to do, that's all you have to do, and now we have it on there. Now, word of warning, since July 2020, Twitch has changed this code. So what you see here is exactly right for right now. In 2021, it might be changed again. So what they used to let you do is just go to our channel name and go Grim Firefly. That was enough. But now when you go over to parent, you actually have to put your website address in. So it has to be Grim Firefly GG or whatever your website is, without the www or the HTTPS. That's all you have to do. You actually have to put the website in these days at the parent bit. Now, if we go back to our website and we go preview these changes, we can come back up here and we can simply, once that loads, simply scroll down there and we can see that it's offline. Great. That's all we really need to do. It's working fine. We just don't have any videos at the second. But when you are streaming, it'll come up and it'll just play automatically with the sound off. Excellent. That's all we need to do. So now, as you can see, depending on what web browser you use, my most recent video has popped up on this one. So I just did a quick simple little test, and this is just showing you how this Twitch little embed actually works. So we click on that and it just plays. So we'll just skip through to the bit in the video and it just plays your last stream that you had. And it looks very good, and you can go full screen if you wanted to. And we can see that we're playing Hitman. Excellent. That's all it is to do. Now we're going to show you another way to slightly different code actually to embed a smaller little subsection, so it's not as large as this bit. So we've gone from our home page where we had our bigger Twitch embed to a smaller section on our actual Twitch website. So I've left these pictures here from our starter template so that I can replace them at some point in time. So what do we want to do here? Let's go back to Word and I'll show you this new code. As you can see here, I've added to some of the things. So we still got our iframes, but I've wanted to set the height and I wanted to say maybe 480. So it's a little bit smaller. Width, I can again set that a little bit more, but I just keep it to 100 right now. And you can see that the code has changed around a lot more, but there's no simple way to do this. There's different ways that you can do everything. So we can see down here, I've got different heights for different things down here as well. In the first code, this is the second code we'll be doing. There's no right and wrong code that you can hear, as long as you have your channel name at Grim Firefly or whatever your username is, and then your website username as parent, it'll work. Okay, there's a variety of different codes out there. You just select the one that you want to use and just try to edit with the best of it. So when we come back here, we're going to change all of these pictures and make sure then that they're not there anymore. Okay, so these pictures are just in the way now, and I don't need them anymore. So if we go up here and we click over and hover over our little column section here in the middle here, we get the style thing, and we can just simply delete that picture. Gone. Okay, we don't need this thing anymore, this little box here. So we can push once to delete, and then we can again delete this little subsection here. Gone. It's leaving us with one picture here. That's all we really need to do. And again, we can just click on here, go to style, and we can just pretty much get rid of that. We don't need it. So it's still leaving us our little spacer here. So maybe we'll leave that in for a second. And we can delete that in a second. We can just right click on that and delete that little spacer. But for the moment, we'll just leave it in here. So what do we want to do? Go back up the top of the Elementor bar, pick that little symbol up the top there, and we're just going to grab our text editor and we're just going to drop it here. Okay, so let's go to our text and let's just put that in. Okay, we can see that that's given us dropped in our bar, but it's given us a little too much thing. I think it's a little bit wide. We can probably get rid of that and move that a little bit up there so we don't have that spacer in there. We can actually delete that whole spacer by just right clicking and deleting it. But it's giving us space on both sides. And both these things now, if you have a look here, are in line. So that's what we want to do. We just wanted to simply show you this. It's just a different way to add in our text and our thing and to get it to align with our thing. So I think it looks quite good. We're just going to update that now. And now we'll go to preview changes and we'll just scroll down and look, that looks pretty well lined out. Now, if it was me, can you do it without that spacer in there? Of course you can, but again, we can just scroll up and down to wherever we want to. Like we can add more space in there. It looks a bit real ridiculous. We could go back to 100 and I think it was 38 if we wanted to, and it's right on the money. Or we can just remove it and get it there. But I feel that that's a nice little customized thing, somewhere between that. It looks quite good, and both sides now are very, 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 very active. But again, you can just delete that spacer if you don't want it. And that's how you add in Twitch videos, and that's all you really need to do. Now, there is no wrong and right way to do a code for Twitch. There's all different ways, and different people are going to do things. But they're the two that I've shown you today. So hopefully that's helped you gain a little bit more insight. Just remember that the parent now has to be set to your website without the HTTPS or the www. Okay, so we're back on our home page and we have it open with Elementor so that we can edit it. So why don't we do something a little bit special now that's going to look quite good. So what happens here, I've got this button here, okay? So if we click on our little link over here, if our mouse will cooperate, we can see it's not linked to anywhere. It's just vacant. What happens if I want it to scroll to a certain section? So maybe I want it to go straight to where our Twitch is, and I want it just to show our Twitch. That's all I want it to do. Or I want it to scroll all the way down here to the About Me section. We can do that by adding in an anchor point. So let's go and learn how to do that. So how do we get an anchor point and how do we get this stuff done? It's really, really simple. All we have to do is go back up to our Elementor left-hand side panel, click on those little box spaces right there, and we just put in, find a widget. So we just put AN in there, and it'll come up with menu anchor. So that's what we want. So we just drag that to where we are, where we want it to be. So you can drag it across down here, but I think we'll just get it to go to probably about here, so we can see that little blue line in there. Now we have to name it. So we're just going to name it Twitch, for example. So don't worry that it's moving things around. No one's going to be able to see this bar but you. Okay, so we've got that. And I believe this anchor menu actually has to be in English. So you have to put it in English. So if you're from another language, for right now, it's just in English for whatever reason. Don't ask me. That's what I did. So we'll just push update. So we've got that nice little anchor thing. And just again, no one can see this little anchor thing. So someone went to your website, they're never going to notice it. So we go back up to our button and we go up to edit. And we go up to links and we just leave that little asterisk there. And then we just go Twitch. Okay, that's all we have to do, and we just push update and we wait for that to go ahead. And once that's updated, let's preview the changes and hopefully that works. Once it's updated, there we go. But once it's updated, all we have to do, and it makes it look a little bit better. It goes straight to that section. Just make sure you wait till it actually updates before you click on it. But that's pretty cool. And that sets you a world apart. So if you have something really interesting on your website and learn more about, okay, I'll just scroll down to here. How awesome is that? Okay, so we've shown it to you once, so let's just see it in action one more time. So we can grab, we've got this Learn More button just below our Twitch embed here. So let's see if we can get it to scroll past this section, maybe down to Forest. Wilderness, we'll go with that, whatever the hell ever. So what do we need to do? We just got to go up to our Elementor bar up here, click on those little squares at the top here, go put the search bar in there, just search for menu anchor, and maybe we'll just put it to here. Great. Let's put it in here as, I don't know, wild. Okay, wild. No one's going to be able to see it, and we see it jitter the screen a little bit. Again, no one's going to ting it. We're just going to update that to wild. It actually does it. Did we do it? Yes, they did. It's just a little bit slow. Then we'll go back up to our button here. We'll go up to our link here and we'll just put in wild. Okay, so let's just update that as well. And then when we go to preview it, it should all load up pretty nicely. So let's see if this actually works. Okay, preview changes. There we go. We'll wait for the actual website to load this time. That would be really, really good. And now we can just go learn more. Boom, it drops back down there, and learn more again. And it drops down to our forest wilderness section that you might have. Again, we can put it in top of the projects if you want there, but we just wanted to show it as a simple exemplar of what we can actually achieve with this thing. You can't really have it scroll down to your about section, which is kind of disappointing. You can have it kind of scroll maybe to this subsection here, but that's about it. It may cut off the bottom, but we'll see. Okay, so I just tested it out, and you can get it to go down to your About Me section, the footer bit. So if we go from here to Learn, and then we drop it all the way back down here, it scrolls all the way down to your About section. But you actually have to just grab this bar, this bloody anchor point, and you could just drag it and drop it. I just dragged it straight to here and just left it here, and it works fine. Again, if you don't want it there, you can drag it back at the top here and put it here, and then it'll go to projects, and we can just simply save and put it back up there. But if you want it to go to the About Me section, you can do that as well. It's really up to you. So now that this website's loaded, we can see just by dragging and dropping that it's changed again to here. Awesome. How nice is that? It looks really, really good. Okay, so what if you wanted to add this simple shortcut that we're doing here into your actual menu bar just at the top here, your navigation bar? You can do that too. So all we need to do is know what our one that we did for wild was down here. So we know we had our anchor point just down in here, an extra project, and we put wild in it. We're just going to go up the top here and we're going to go to our dashboard, which is your username and dashboard. And we'll rock, once that loads up, we'll rock down to appearances and menu. So if we go to menu now, we can update all these good things. So if we go down to customize a link, we can simply put in our little emblem and put that in there and just put in wild. Now, link text, we'll just put in wild, and then we'll add that to our menu. So once that's done now, good. Let's just save that menu before we rock back out of there. And it's got our custom link and it's got everything saved in here. So now when we go back to visit website, we should have a little link into our thing. And it says wild. Now it scrolls all the way down to wild. Isn't that wild? I don't know if we can fit any more wilds into it, but that's how you would do that. Okay, so now we're going to edit our contacts page. So it's very easy. We can edit a lot of things within our contacts page, but not all of it through Elementor because not every section is actually from Elementor. So what can we edit with Elementor? We can edit our contacts bit here. We can edit the background as we've already done. As you can see, we can edit our address and phone number, and we can edit the map down here as well. So if you had a physical location, you can change all of that around so that a person can find you without even leaving your website, which is great because you want them to stay on your website, right? And now, this forum here where you can put all your subject in there and your name, and someone can send you an email to contact you, maybe with a business opportunity, we can change all that too, but that's owned from a different company, which is WPForms. And we'll show you how to edit that in a second, but that's not done with Elementor. So let's edit with Elementor and see what we can change with this thing once ever it loads. does take a little while sometimes. So here we are. So if we wanted to edit the background, again, we just click on that and go to style. We've done that 100 times now. If we go down to here and hover over this section, we can see we can change that contact area. We can change out this text. And then if we scroll down to this section down here, we can see that we have our our physical store location where it's in New York at the moment. We can change that. We can contact our nature thing just by clicking on it. So if we just go into the left-hand panel there, and maybe we don't want this, and maybe I'll just put in an address, this address, which is Sydney Opera House, right over here in Sydney. It was built in whatever time, whatever it is, construction started 1959. Excellent. It's in Sydney Harbour. Don't actually own it. I actually don't know how much it would be worth if you kind of like that sort of thing. But if you wanted to put it in there, we'll put it in there as our address for a moment. And we can change our icons if we really wanted to again. And all we have to do is push update. Pretty simple. Once it's updated, we can see that that's done. If we don't want to put in our actual phone number, we can just click on that and we'll just put in there and /a at the moment. Just not applicable at the moment. So we've done all that. Okay, so what if you want to go and change this actual address here? So it says 123 Fifth Avenue. I've never been to America, but I'm certain I would want to go and visit Fifth Avenue. Sounds pretty cool, right? But if we want to actually change this physical address, all we have to do is highlight this section here, and then we can just click on this simple little pen here, and it'll say set as a location up on the top left here. So when we hit this little pen, we go over to here, and we just get rid of that. Boom. We'll just go in here, and it will actually find our landmark, hopefully. So if we just hit update, should be able to find it. And then if we go back to our physical address, it may actually need a proper address, but we'll try this and we'll preview it. Let's preview some changes. Click over here. And if it doesn't, we'll actually put in a proper address. And here it is. It's found it. Good. It's in Sydney now. So we've changed from New York to Sydney. And we've even got our reviews up on the side here. So I'm guessing, I didn't know you could even review Sydney Opera House, but there you go. It's got a 4.4 stars out of 5. Excellent. Our business is thriving. And that's all you need to do with this. Now we'll go back up and we'll edit this actual forum here. Okay, now that we've edited some of the information on our contact page and we put in our physical store location onto our map, maybe we want to change this WPForms on the right-hand side here. So instead of your client just putting in their name, their email address, subject, and their message, maybe we need to have more options for your business. Maybe there's a faulty good, maybe something doesn't work correctly, or maybe someone needs extra help with something. We can simply do that. So how do we edit this section right here on the right-hand side? We simply hover back over our username, which will be your username, and go to our dashboard. Okay, so once we get over there, we can go down to something called WPForms, and we can just click on that, and it'll open up a whole new little section. And then we can see we have one contact form. Now we just push edit, and now that'll open up another editing thing, very similar to Elementor. So when we got down here, we've got that maybe all these options. So there's fancy field options, there's payment fields, and all different little things that you can add in here. But maybe we want to put, I don't know, maybe a Dropbox down here. All we need to do is click on that. Don't declick it and just hold it and then just drag it to wherever you want to. So you can just drag it to very much like Elementor. Maybe we'll just put our little Dropbox just down here. Okay, very simple. And then all you have to do to edit this thing is just click on it once. Okay, once it's dropped in there. And we can see our first choice maybe be, I don't know, good. Maybe our second choice can be bad. Maybe our third choice could be better. All right, we'll just put that down there, and we can actually drop now, and we can just put in there. Okay, we just put in our customer service rating. Excellent. And that's pretty much all you really need to do there. And we can just save that, okay? So we're saving that, and that section will now be there. We can have advanced options if we really want to, and you can put styles and all different fonts in there if we really want to. So now when we go back to our WP admin thing, so if we just highlight all that text, get rid of that text right up the top there. And I'm just going to go boom. Okay. And then I'm just going to go straight back to our website just to make it simple. And now if we go back to our website, we can do this. And we'll go to our contact page. Let's see if it actually worked. Okay. Customer service rating, good, bad, could be better. Okay. Okay, that's giving some us options. So let's go back to our WPForms. We'll just click up the top here and we can see that there's a whole bunch of different things here. And then when we go back there, we can add it again. And if you really like that, like you don't have to do it. If you don't really want to do what I just did, is just delete all this gobbledygook out of here, you can just push exit and it'll take you back to your dashboard. Very, very simple to do. And then you can go from there. I just went the long way for some reason. I have no idea. But that's all you need to do with WPForms. And you can set up multiple different little contact forms if you want to. You can add a new one in here. Add new, just up the top here, add a new one. You might have multiple contact forms on the one website for multiple different things, and that's okay. Okay, what happens if I have multiple contact forms and I want to add them to our website? So maybe we've set up a new one of these and we've gone up to the top here, we've added new, we've edited everything and we've added in new sections for different contact forms that we want our customers to think. How do we now get that onto our actual website? Well, it's very, very simple. If we just hover over our visit site here, and I'm just going to open it up into a new tab. Okay, I'm going to click on that new tab. We're going to go down to contacts page, and we can see that we only have the one form here for the moment, our little input thing. That's great, and it's looking good. Okay, maybe I want to have another one just above our map here. Okay, let's go and do that. Okay, so we're going to edit with Elementor. We're just going to click on it, open this up, wait for it to load. So you can put this anywhere on your website, but we're just going to do it for the tutorial. I'm just going to add a new section. So we're just going to go down to the middle here, click on the little plus button, add a new section. I quite like this. We're just going to go with one column, just going to add that little section here. Now, when we go over to our edit with Elementor section here, I'm going to click on the little boxes up on the top right-hand corner. Open that in there. Okay, I'm going to type in code. That's going to bring up a thing called shortcode. It is up actually into that whole global little thing if we went backwards, but it's just hidden right down there. So it's just easy to look for something called shortcode. We're going to drop in that shortcode. Now, if we go back to our WPForms, we can see we're given a shortcode here. So if we just highlight that whole section there with everything in there, and we just go copy, and we just grab it, click back over here, and we can just go into this little section over here, click on here, and we're just going to push Control V to copy it over. Once that's copied over, you can see that your form has now been entered. So if you had multiple contact forms for some reason, that's how you do it. And we just push update again, and then that's going to be there. But we're not going to do that for me because I don't want to have multiple contact forms. And that's all you've got to do. Very, very simple. They set it up so easily just for everything to work properly. Okay, so we're back and we've clicked on just a random page here to show everyone what we're going to be editing now. So it looks really good on desktop. We can see our little videos playing in the background. We've got all of our text that looks really, really nicely. So what happens if we want to view this on a tablet or mobile device? We need to go and check its responsive mode, and we can simply do that by clicking over here on our Elementor bar and looking for responsive mode. We'll click on mobile. Okay, and we can see it doesn't look, well, it looks quite good. For most part, it'll try and fix it all up, but not everything looks great. So we can try and fix up some of these issues. So why is this so important? Because most internet traffic today is becoming more and more mobile and tablet derived. Okay, people are using those instruments a lot more than what they are desktop computers anymore. Most people aren't jumping on and looking at a website through their PC or their Mac anymore. They're actually doing it while they're walking around and everything like that. So you have to have it look good. Right here, we can see that our video is playing on here, but I guarantee you, if we went over to the settings, clicked on this, went over to style right now, and scroll down, we can see down here, it's play on mobile. It actually isn't. It says no. So if we actually had a mobile device in our hands right now, when we went there, we'd just see this picture. So all we have to do is simply push this across here. So yes, play on mobile devices and push update. That's it. Okay. But what else if we want to make other changes, okay? So we've done the video, so now that plays, and that's all we have to do. Now I've scrolled down to some text here. So if I hover over this text and I see, okay, that's looking pretty good. If I go and see alignment, for instance, maybe we want to have it centered. We can do that. But look at the little option next to alignment. You'll see our little mobile symbols here. If we click on this, we can transfer it to tablet or we can go back up to desktop. But for right now, we're just keeping it at mobile. Now we can edit all these changes, make all these changes just for the mobile in this section here. Simply just make sure when you're aligning things or changing out text so that you're doing things or changing the style of the text. Maybe we think that's a little bit too big. We can go over to style. Maybe we want to change the color, or we want to go down to typography and click on some of the editing down here. Maybe for our mobile, it's just a little bit too big, and maybe we want to make it a little bit small, or maybe something about that large looks a little bit better. We can update that, and it's simply, as you can see here, the little mobile signal is still there. It's only going to show it up for mobile, so we can just simply update that. Maybe we don't like this text being like this. We can simply go over to style and just go, let's just center it for the sake of a mobile, so it looks a little bit friendlier on mobile. Now what I suggest when you're editing through these things, if you have a smartphone, because I only just got one less than 2 weeks ago, my first ever one, so I'm a little bit new to it, but we can see that most of these things look okay, but they can always be improved on. And I just tell you just to make changes and edit it. And if you have a mobile device that's a smartphone, then do that and check it on your actual mobile device. Have your actual mobile device sitting here. For me, if I wanted to change everything, say, to a tablet, I can simply click on this and then I can scroll down. I can say, yes, the video plays. That's very, very nice. And now I can see, again, if I want to change maybe this text here, or let's change something. Okay, this text here. I don't like this text. I can go over to style, and again, I'm seeing that it's only for tablet. So when I edit this section, it's just for tablet. Just have a play around with it. You can't really hurt it. And again, you can see all the columns here are saying tablet, tablet, tablet. Just make sure that you actually click on the right one and not editing the desktop one. If we go and click this now, and you know we've made some changes, let's go back to our, once this updates, if it ever does, we'll go back to our preview. There we go. Wait, preview. There we go. Finally, it's saved some changes. We can now go back to our desktop and we can see that actually nothing else has changed while we're in this responsive mode, because we've only changed the text around for the mobile device and the tablet. And it's very simple to do. My only suggestion with doing this is just to edit one at a time. So if you're going to edit all the mobile stuff, do all that in one go, and then click on to the tablet form and go from there. Don't try and mix and match, go from tablet to mobile, back to tablet to mobile, etc., because it just gets a little bit hard and you'll forget what you're doing. Since we're in this section anyway, I might as well mention why our video is playing there. If you just go into our left side panel here, if you're here, and obviously we've put that to play to mobile now, we can see that our fallback image has been Lady Sylvanas there. All you have to do is click on this, and why would we want a fallback image? In case that video is taken down or that video doesn't play, then this is going to be displayed at the top of this web page. We've actually explained this in another section of the tutorial, but since we're just hovering over this section right now, we might as well look at this so that people that have skipped through the tutorial can actually go, oh, okay, that's what this background file was for. It's a fallback image in case it just doesn't play or doesn't work, so it just doesn't be left blank on your mobile, desktop, or your tablet. That's the only reason that we have this fallback image, so that something's displayed. Okay, so while we're at this section, it's probably worth noting as well, what happens if you have an image and it's been cut off and on your mobile device or your tablet? We can simply edit that, okay? So if we go over to here and we click up on this top little bar here, because this is where Lady Sylvanas' background is, if we click on this top section here, we come up with our edit. We can go over to style, and we can see that our image is centered, okay? That is the position of it. So if we go back down here to our responsive mode and go to tablet, we can see it's done its best to crop that same image and make it there. But what happens if your image is askew? Okay, so maybe you have heaps of, the detail where you want it is where Lady Sylvanas' hand is. All you have to do is go to position, and we can see that it's only for the tablet. So we can go, okay, let's go top left. We can scroll over there. Maybe you don't like that, so we can go back to defaults, or maybe we can go to top right, which is the wall. Okay, so we can just go to default for this one, but for your picture it might not be. And we can set the same thing for our mobile as well by just going down here and then just saving our updates as much as required. But it looks really good. The actual application will try and center the images for you, but it just may be a little bit. And we can just go center left for an image and just save it and update it. And we can see it's just for mobile or just for tablet, depending on what we're editing. I just thought we'd mention it in this section because I know some of you are going to have pictures when you scroll down through your website that you want to align for a mobile device, and that's how you do it. Okay, so what happens if we want to import just a block? We can do that as well. So if we go up to our starter template just down here, the little purple symbol, we can click on that and we can go over the blocks at the top. And what they simply are just simple designs that can be used. So it can have pictures in there, you might have a header in there, just so you're not starting from scratch. So we can just scroll through some of these things. We can see there's pictures, there's quotes, there's all sorts of things. Maybe we'll just click on this one here. I feel that this looks quite good. If we just click on that to preview it, hey, very nice. It's got a signature, it's got some social media links. Cool, let's import that block. Let's see what this looks like. And we'll grab that from the top. I guess that would put it straight up the top here. We'll grab that, we're grabbing that bar, and we're going to scroll all the way back down here and release it right at the bottom of our test page down here. So there we go, we released it. So what can we edit with this? We can edit the picture, we can edit the words, we can edit the signature, we can even edit the social media icons, and it just starts everything off from something basic other than being over the top like this section, so you can just have something basic you can work with at the bottom of your page or at the top of your page. Okay, let's talk about the most important thing that I'm going to talk to you about in this tutorial is privacy. Now, this may sound like a very silly thing to do, but it doesn't matter how secure you think you are on the internet, I guarantee that you're not. So let's take, for instance, when I, signed up to HostGator to have this website made. So I went in there and went, okay, I want my web hosting and all that kind of stuff. Let's look at this. So we went down and we did the grimfirefightgg.com. Okay, let's go over the hosting and billing for here. Underneath this little thing, if you were to add in extra domains, you'll have this little thing here, add domain privacy for $14.95 per year. This will come usually free for even people with GoDaddy and stuff when you do your first domain. So maybe if you're doing a second domain thing, but you can always deselect it at checkout. Never do this, okay? When we go over to our dashboard, we can see that all my privacy setting, everything's private. Why is this so important? Because you would think, how is anyone going to give me any information unless I silly enough to put it down here? Unless you had a business, okay? That's fine, okay? But let's go and have a look at what I can actually search for on the internet, okay? So I'm here at a little domain called Domain Tools, okay? I can look up who owns GrimFirefightGG or any web address, okay? So let's go and simply do that now. So when I come over here, I can see a public record. So when you sign up for a domain, which is your address to your website, you have to give them your phone number, your email address, and your physical address to actually sign up for it. It's pretty stock standard stuff. It's what's also required. But what you won't know is that this tool can go and be found anywhere and anyone can find any information they want to. So I know that I am with HostGator straight off the thing. I can see my register is HostGator. I can see that I'm 8 days old on the internet. That's how long my website thing. I can see when it expires. I can also see what server I'm on, where HostGator's got 1.8 million plus domains on the one server. Great. I can see all that. What you don't know is I can look at this and go tech contacts. Okay. Did you know if you don't click that $14.95 a year, which seems a little bit pricey, and you deselect that, your name will come up directly here. So your name will be in there, full name, whatever it is, Johnny Johns. You would be living at 14, wherever the hell you live, Fake Street, in the middle of nowhere, and they'll have your email address and phone number. Now, it doesn't seem like that much, but they get a lot. So you can see all this, your IP location, your IP address, that's all American and it's all thing. But this is what I did with the $14.95 per year, which seems like a lot depending on what country you're coming from, because it'll be different prices to who you go to, whether it's GoDaddy or, HostGator or whoever else is out there. I have mine all set to privacy protect, so it's their corporation, it's their email, it's their phone number. It's nothing to do with me. It's all just private. Now, why you might want this is, even if we go over to this one, you can see I know everything now about this. I can see the address. I can see it's all set to privacy protect. Okay, what happens if I don't? Everyone's got the details. There are people here that will search these registries for new domain names. Okay, now this happened to me a couple of years ago when I got home from work one day and I was tired, and my partner said, "Can you go and put this domain name in there? I want this registered." And it was for pottery. And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it for you." 2 days later, nothing happened for 2 days, right? Everything's going well. 2 days later, her phone started to blow up with just messages, random people calling her. "Oh, we see that you've registered this domain. I'm whoever from whoever, and I want to build your website for you. All you have to do is send me money." She went, "No, thank you." Our email address was filled with people trying to solicit web building services, logo designs, all these sorts of things. Now, we don't know if any of these businesses were real. And she got really freaked out of it. And she said, "I'm in a big trouble here. I'm at work." And so was I. And I couldn't change it until that night, until I came home and went, "Oops, I forgot to pay the $14 for the privacy." It takes, if you don't actually click on your privacy thing when you can add it later. But again, those details are already out there on the internet until they get changed. So you're going to be on someone's mailing list, you're going to be contacted by them and hammered by them, and you don't know if these people are soliciting your information and wanting all your contacts. You don't know who they are, where they come from, and you're just going to be bombarded with it. That's why this domain registry, where it comes up here and it says it's privacy protected, is so important. Never forget your privacy on this thing, because people will just spend hours on here trying to get money. Whether they actually build you a website or not, I have no idea. I doubt that they would. But they will completely bombard you day after day, week after week, until they get bored, until you change it. And it's just a simple little thing, that one click thing, and then people have got your thing. And it could just really put a dampener on your, website experience and stuff. So I would do that. I would also, down here, when we go back to our main website, where we have our contacts, I would never give out too much information, okay? Unless you have a physical store somewhere, unless you have like a gym, for instance, and you're like, okay, this is the workout world, wherever it is, that's our address, this is our phone number for our, I don't know what you call reception or whatever, reception area, and this is our email address. That's all I would have. If I had a home business from home, I might put a PO box in there, pay for the extra PO box for the year, have that on there, pay for a separate mobile that's not a home phone, if people still have home phone now, or a different kind of thing, so that I can switch that off if something happens and someone starts to harass the company or whatever. And I would have a separate email address that wasn't, our own email address. Like if it was your personal email address, I would have a business one set up. That's all I'm going to say about that, but that's really, really important, because I think it's really overlooked. And if you don't sign up for something like a domain privacy, people are going to hound you in. I've seen it happen. I've had it happen to myself years ago. Didn't enjoy the experience. So always make sure you put in these things, and then they'll change it all around so that people can't contact you with third-party solicited messages where you don't even know what country they're from and why they're calling you. Important. Don't overlook it. I know it seems like a lot of money, but $14.95 in my currency is nothing compared to my privacy and peace of mind. And congratulations, if you got to this point in the tutorial, we should be finished now. You should have a functional website that you can use for either your personal use or business use. And you've added in some cool features, some great pictures, you've got some great designs. Maybe you've added in your own personal stream from a streaming platform, whether that's Facebook Gaming, Twitch, YouTube, etc. Everything should be functional now, and it should look something like this. Your website should have an SSL certificate, so it should be liked and locked, and it's connected to a secure server. If you have a business, that should all be done for you if you followed this tutorial. I hope it has helped you out. I enjoyed making it. We will be making more guides in the future on how to record and do all these sorts of things for Twitch, because that's kind of the platform that I'm trying to promote. I really hope that this guide's helped some of you there, and if it has, please leave me a like and maybe a comment, and if you could share it on social media or even subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would really do or benefit me a lot. It really does benefit a lot of people if people like the tutorial and they can share it so other people can do it. I hope this has really helped you guys. As always, you can follow us on YouTube or Twitch if you want to see some gaming footage. I hope it has. As always, take care. And we'll be back for a new episode showing you a new tutorial very shortly.